The Throne of the Mechas. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1801. The battle is in full swing. Xia Xingchen used the secret of the black hole to break the flame barrier and immediately drove the mecha out. Kill. Xia Xingchen shouted angrily, and the golden light flashed in the hands of the faith mecha, condensing a golden spiral spear, and rushed towards the fire demon Osiris. Boom. The figure of the faith mecha was blurred. In an instant, the faith mecha was above Osiris's head, and the spear was like a startled wild goose, piercing his right arm. Osiris showed a trace of contempt in his eyes, and did not even dodge. The golden spiral spear accurately hit the huge body of the fire demon. However, a lava shield emerged from the fire demon's body, but the shield was shattered, and the body was not injured. Humble little bug. The fire demon's giant hammer swept across, and hit the body of the faith mecha. The red flames and golden light burst out at the same time, producing a huge explosion, and hundreds of mushroom clouds rose around. The faith mecha flew backwards, tens of thousands of kilometers away, and hit a dormant volcano heavily, and its body sank deeply into it. Puff. In the cockpit, Xia Xingchen's face turned pale, and he spat out a mouthful of blood, staining the control panel in front. Rumble. The volcano shook, first emitting thick smoke, then erupting with a bang, and countless hot meteorites fell from the sky. Xia Xingchen pushed the joystick, and the faith mech stood up. One man and one machine slowly flew in the rain of fire and smoke. What a strong attack power. The defense power is also extremely amazing. This flame demon is at least cosmic level, and it is also an extremely powerful existence among the cosmic level. No wonder he can destroy a world. The goal of the primary trial is to defeat such a terrifying opponent. It's really as the Guardian said, the trial of the Misty Sea is so difficult that it's abnormal. Xia Xingchen wiped the remaining blood from the corner of his mouth with the back of his hand. His eyes radiated a strange light, but his fighting spirit was even more boiling. Fighting with the strong is more interesting, and can stimulate my potential. Since I condensed the faith mech, I haven't had a hearty battle yet. The power of the faith mech is too great. In the original universe, even in the most desolate starfield, I have some concerns. But this is a dead land. There is no life. Come on, faith mech. Let me see your true combat power. With Xia Xingchen's low shout, a crystal pyramid appeared on the chest of the faith mech, slowly rotating, and the pure power of faith like golden wine flowed out from it, and permeated the whole body of the mech. Boom. The faith mech turned into a golden sun. The next moment, the figure of the faith mech suddenly blurred. The energy that was released when it moved alone caused the space to distort. It can be imagined how fast it was at this time. Kill. With a roar that resounded through the sky, Xia Xingchen rushed up again in the mech, and the tip of the golden spear in his hand pointed directly at the head of the flame demon. Want to kill me? The fire demon smiled coldly. I was born in this world, and I destroyed this world. I'm the witness of this world, and I'm the greatest existence in this world. All life must be burned in my flames, and turned into ashes. The body of the fire demon Osiris suddenly swelled, and turned into a towering flaming giant, looking at Xia Xingchen with contempt. At this moment, on the golden platform in the meteorite area, the Guardians were watching the battle between Xia Xingchen and the fire demon. Spider-Woman looked at the flaming two-handed sword in her hand and whispered, "This fire demon is very powerful. It took me a lot of effort to defeat it back then. It seems impossible for this kid to win." Yes. The fire demon Osiris not only has terrifying attack power, but also amazing vitality. Although Xia Xingchen's mecha is flexible, it can only dodge the crazy attack of the fire demon, and cannot cause effective damage to the fire demon. Hey, I told him to give up the trial a long time ago. He just didn't listen. Once he dies, we will immediately fall into a deep sleep. The Guardians watched the battle, and talked about it, shaking their heads. This fire demon is so strong. In the world of Ash, Xia Xingchen drove the faith mecha, and the golden spear in his hand kept piercing the body of the fire demon. When the faith mecha burst out with all its strength, its speed increased to an astonishing level, and its attack power and defense power also skyrocketed. Every time it pierced, the spear could break the lava armor on the surface of the fire demon's body, leaving a large black hole on its body. However, the fire demon's self-healing ability was very strong. The injured part healed quickly, and even covered it with a layer of hard lava shell, making it even harder. Go to hell. Tiny bug. The fire demon laughed loudly, and the lava hammer in his hand kept smashing down, forcing Xia Xingchen to dodge continuously, which was extremely embarrassing. Elemental creatures all have cores. Just like the human heart, it is a fatal weakness. The place I just attacked did not hit the core of the fire demon. It was a completely ineffective attack. Xia Xingchen's heart moved, and he recalled the process of fighting with the three-legged golden crow on the star. Yes, only by finding the core can we have a chance to defeat this fire demon. Xia Xingchen's eyes condensed, and all his mental power was poured into the field. The omniscience field unfolded, covering the huge fire demon. Boom boom boom. The hammer in the fire demon's hand kept attacking. Every time it hit, magma would spew out of the ground, and countless lava cores would fly up from bottom to top. The Faith Mech shuttled through the rain of fire, avoiding the attack. Found it. Xia Xingchen's eyes lit up. He finally found a lava core that was constantly swimming in the body of the flame demon. This core was only 1 cubic meter in size, and the whole body was magma, forming the shape of a heart. It swam very fast, hundreds of meters per second. Compared with the flame demon, which was nearly 10,000 meters tall, the 1 cubic meter lava core was so small that it was almost invisible. If it weren't for Xia Xingchen's omniscience domain that could observe everything in the domain, he would definitely not be able to discover the existence of the lava core. Open the sky. Xia Xingchen shouted, and the spear in the hands of the Faith Mech turned into a golden drill, making a rumbling sound. The surrounding space was shattered in the rotation, causing a series of strong space storms. This attack finally aroused the flame demon's vigilance. The contempt on its face was swept away, and it felt something was wrong. But, with a loud bang, the drill in the hands of the Faith Mech turned into a golden sun, emitting a dazzling light that made people dare not look at it. Even the flame demon Osiris felt a strong sense of threat in his heart. The energy that erupted from Xia Xingchen made Osiris marvel. What? The guardians who were watching the battle were all shocked. Chapter 1802 Defeat the Flame Demon. Not good. Fear filled the eyes of the fire demon Osiris. He felt a strong sense of crisis from Xia Xingchen's move. It was too late now. It could only shrink its body and turn into a huge fireball, suspended in the air. Its body surface was covered with hard lava, trying to resist Xia Xingchen's opening attack. Boom. The golden drill cut through the sky, carrying endless energy, and slamming into the fire demon Osiris. In an instant, the lava armor with a thickness of more than 100 meters was penetrated, and the scorching magma sprayed out, splashing everywhere like blood, and the whole world was stained with a layer of brilliant fire. Xia Xingchen's opening attack condensed all his strength, not only piercing the fireball incarnated by Osiris, but also accurately hitting the lava core in his body. Bang! Fine spider web patterns appeared on the surface of the lava core, followed by a loud noise, and it exploded immediately. No. The fire demon Osiris let out a miserable wail, and the huge body made of flames also collapsed, turning into countless tiny sparks, burning up in the process of falling from the sky, and turning into piles of ashes on the ground. These ashes piled up to form a black hill as high as 100 meters. It is conceivable how huge Osiris is. Xia Xingchen panted violently, holding the joystick tightly with his right hand. Veins on the back of his hand emerged, his face was pale, and his forehead was covered with cold sweat. The opening strike just now not only drained all of Xia Xingchen's mental power, but also consumed all the power of faith in the source of faith. But I won. Xia Xingchen panted for a while, grinned, and was extremely excited. Defeating a powerful enemy is something to be happy about. More importantly, Xia Xingchen once again surpassed his limits in this battle. Xia Xingchen absorbed 2 groups of spiritual energy on the demon vine star. His foundation is deep enough, and his strength has reached the peak of the black hole level, which is enough to impact the universe level. However, if you want to impact the universe level, you must surpass yourself and exceed your limits. After the battle with the fire demon Osiris, Xia Xingchen saw the road to the universe level. It's just around the corner to become a universe level. Xia Xingchen thought to himself. But Xia Xingchen used the remaining mental power to sweep across the black ash hill. He could feel that there were signs of life in the center of the hill. This sign of life was very weak but very tenacious. With Xia Xingchen's current strength, it is impossible to destroy this sign of life. In other words, this fire demon who destroyed the world is still alive. Xia Xingchen was slightly startled. At this moment, a crack appeared in the sky above the ash world, and Manla, a man with black tentacles, broke through the air and looked at Xia Xingchen with a smile on his face. I didn't expect that you could pass the primary trial. Your strength shocked all of our watchers, and everyone looks at you with new eyes. But the flame demon is still alive. Xia Xingchen pointed to the black ash hill and said, he still has signs of life. Of course he's still alive. Manla nodded and said, life forms like the flame demon are extremely tenacious. As long as there is a little bit of embers, it will come back to life. With your current strength, you can only defeat him. It will be too difficult to kill him. However, the goal of the primary trial is to defeat it. Come on, let's leave and let this flame demon fend for himself in this dead world. Xia Xingchen nodded slightly, followed Manla into the space crack, and returned to the golden platform in the meteorite area. Congratulations, Xia Xingchen, you passed the primary trial. Your last move was amazing. I didn't expect that even I was wrong. You actually defeated the fire demon and passed the trial. Ahem, I lost a lot of money. The guardians applauded enthusiastically and congratulated Xia Xingchen on passing the primary trial. Here is your award. Manla waved his hand, and a palm-sized golden round badge flew over. Xia Xingchen reached out to catch it, and found that there was an eye pattern on the badge. This badge is the symbol of the Master Yusulan. With this badge, you can freely enter and exit the meteorite area and the mist area of the Misty Sea without encountering any danger. Manla said with a smile. However, there are not many treasures left in the mist area and the meteorite area. If you want to find the treasures left by the master, you still have to go to the core area. But this badge does not have the authority to enter the core area. If you want to get the authority, you have to take the intermediate trial. How about it? Do you want to give it a try? Manla waved his hand, and a crack appeared in the sky. A dozen blood-red diamond-shaped stone pillars could be vaguely seen inside. In the center of the stone pillars was a dark space gate. Just looking at this space gate, Xia Xingchen felt a bone-chilling chill. His heart seemed to be tightly grasped by a big hand. He couldn't breathe, his knees trembled, and he almost knelt down. Even when facing his teacher, the supervisor Bahuang, Xia Xingchen had never felt so scared. What exactly is behind this space gate? What kind of terrifying existence is there? In addition to fear, Xia Xingchen was curious. Captain Manla, I give up. I barely passed the primary trial. This intermediate trial must be even harder. With my current strength, I can't pass it. Xia Xingchen said directly. Besides, I have to save my friend now. When I become stronger, at least become a cosmic level, I will try this intermediate trial. Xia Xingchen said. A man of insight is a hero. Manla nodded in approval. Xia Xingchen, a genius like you is rare in the universe. You are so young, but you have already reached the black hole level, and even touched the threshold of the cosmic level. It is inevitable that you will be arrogant. But you are very smart, and know your limits. You must remember that talent is not everything. I have seen many talented celestial beings, but they don't know how to protect themselves. They are too arrogant and die tragically at a young age. It's a pity. The dangers in the core area are not something you can handle. Don't be arrogant and try to break into the core area and lose your life in vain. Thank you for the captain's advice. Xia Xingchen bowed to thank him, waved goodbye to the guardians, left the golden platform, drove the mecha, and flew towards the coordinates where Carlos was. The eye badge representing Usaran appeared on the chest of the Faith Mech, emitting a golden light. The vicious star beasts hiding in the huge meteorite were terrified when they saw the badge, and they all shrank back into the meteorite, not daring to show their heads. The poison gas, radiation and other deadly organs in the meteorite were also ineffective under the golden light of the badge, and could not be triggered. Carlos, wait for me, don't get hurt. Xia Xingchen whispered softly, driving the mech at high speed through the meteorites. Chapter 1803 Friends Reunion. Misty Sea, meteorite area. In a pale blue extremely cold meteorite, the robot, whose body was in tatters, fell deep in the cave, like a pile of waste. In order to save energy, Carlos shut down 90% of his body functions, leaving only the communication function working normally. Carlos knew that Xia Xingchen would definitely try to save him. However, he did not think that Xia Xingchen had the strength to come to his location. It was too dangerous here. Carlos saw with his own eyes that the huge warship of the Eternal Protoss rashly broke into the meteorite area in order to catch up with him, inadvertently angering the ferocious star beast that used the meteorite as its nest. In just a blink of an eye, more than a dozen black hole level powerhouses were attacked by the star beasts and fell directly. There was even a cosmic level powerhouse who was seriously injured in the fierce battle. In the end, the Eternal Protoss could only retreat temporarily and dared not to force its way into this area again. This is how Carlos could survive. The purpose of Carlos opening the communication was that if Xia Xingchen approached this area, he would immediately send a danger signal and let Xia Xingchen leave. Xingchen, it's too dangerous here. I can't let you take risks, Carlos thought to himself. However, after waiting for several months, Carlos did not wait for Xia Xingchen's news. Most of the meteorites in the meteorite area have strong radiation and high magnetic force, which will affect signal transmission. Only when Xia Xingchen enters the meteorite area, there is a slight possibility of contacting Carlos. Could it be that Xingchen didn't come to the Misty Sea? Carlos was a little anxious. It's actually better if he doesn't come, so as not to encounter danger. But how can I pass the news of the cosmic artifact to him? If I die, the storage device will be annihilated, and the information inside will be destroyed. No one will ever know the whereabouts of the cosmic artifact. All my hard work will be in vain. Kai. Carlos calling. Carlos on this day, Carlos suddenly received a strange message, which turned out to be from Xia Xingchen. Carlos jumped up from the ground with joy. The happiest thing in his life is to have a friend like Xia Xingchen. It was Xia Xingchen who taught him what feelings and love are, and gave him the opportunity to ascend to become a celestial being and enter this colorful celestial world. When he first arrived in the celestial world, Carlos was alone, felt very lonely, and his life was very hard. He almost couldn't hold on. Fortunately, within a few years, Xia Xingchen also ascended to the celestial world, and the two good friends reunited. After Xia Xingchen arrived in the celestial world, everything changed. All difficulties were solved. Carlos went from an unknown, oppressed, low-level person to a wealthy man with a lot of money. Although his identity changed, Carlos did not forget his roots. He knew that everything he had was brought by Xia Xingchen. For Xia Xingchen, he could also give everything he had, even his life. This is why Carlos ventured into the Stargate and broke into the core area of the Misty Sea to find a cosmic artifact. Carlos was not doing it for himself. Carlos is an artificial intelligence, and ordinary cosmic artifacts are of no use to him. He did it for Xia Xingchen. Xingchen's enemy is the Eternal God Clan, who is too powerful. Although he has the source of faith and has joined the Spacetime Academy, he has a promising future. However, if Xia Xingchen has one more cosmic artifact, he will have a better chance of competing with the Eternal God Clan. Carlos thought to himself. Xingchen, where are you now? Carlos answered the signal and asked hurriedly. I have arrived at the Sea of Misty Sea, in the meteorite area. Xia Xingchen replied. Already arrived at the meteorite area. Carlos was surprised and happy. Did Xingchen really come to save him? Carlos knew Xia Xingchen's character very well, and Xia Xingchen's arrival did not surprise Carlos too much. Xingchen, listen to me. You should have just arrived at the meteorite area. It's too dangerous here. Leave quickly. The sooner the better. I'll tell you the coordinates of the hidden cosmic artifact. You take the artifact back to the Spacetime Academy. Carlos said anxiously, our communication may have been intercepted by the Eternal Protoss. You must act immediately. There is not much time. But I'm here. Xia Xingchen answered, while driving the mecha to land on the icy meteorite. He entered the depths of the cave and saw the robot with a broken body like a wreckage. Xingchen? Carlos's electronic eyes flashed red, and he looked at the young human who suddenly appeared in front of him, driving a golden translucent mecha. If it wasn't Xia Xingchen, then who else? Xingchen, it's really you. How did you get here? It's so dangerous here, and outside is the lair of the star beast. Carlos was surprised and struggled to stand up, his face unable to hide the excitement. Carlos was so happy to see his friend again. Carlos Xia Xingchen walked forward. The mecha grabbed Carlos with his big hands, let him into the cockpit, walked forward, hugged him tightly, and his eyes were filled with tears. Xingchen. Although Carlos could not cry, his body was shaking constantly. Carlos, I know you have a lot to say to me. I also have a lot to say to you. But it is really dangerous here. I met several Eternal Protest ships on the way. They should have locked your position. Let's leave here first. Xia Xingchen said. How sure are you of leaving, Xingchen? Carlos asked. 100%. Xia Xingchen smiled faintly. Whoosh. The Faith Mecha turned into a stream of light and flew out of the meteorite area. In the meteorite area, 4 Eternal Protest ships flew carefully among the meteorites. On the ship, there were nearly 100 black hole level powerhouses, led by 2 cosmic level powerhouses, one named Bantan and the other named Shimu. Both of them were the most capable subordinates of the Eternal God Lord, and were ordered to capture Carlos and snatch the cosmic artifact. Has Carlos' location been determined? Bantan was a bald man covered in golden light. A black hole level strongman came up and said, in order to find Carlos' location, we even paid a huge sum of money to the Universal Company and rented the largest computer in the universe, Future, to calculate Carlos' location with an accuracy rate of over 99%. Now, we have captured the weak energy radiation from Carlos and completely locked him. He can't escape. Very good. Bantan nodded. This time, we must catch him. Force him to tell us the whereabouts of the cosmic artifact. This is the order of the Lord God. Yes. All the black hole level strongmen shouted loudly. Chapter 1804. Pursuit. What's going on? The black hole level warrior who was in charge of tracking Carlos on the Eternal Protest spaceship suddenly exclaimed. What's wrong? Bantan came over with an unhappy look on his face. My lord, look, that bright spot represents Carlos. He suddenly started to move. The black hole level warrior quickly responded. What's so surprising about moving? Maybe he detected our spaceship and wanted to escape. Humph, falling into the hands of our Eternal Protoss, escaping? Dream on. Bantan sneered. This time he was determined to get Carlos. My lord. Carlos' speed is extremely fast, and he didn't slow down along the way. Isn't he afraid of the mechanism hidden in the meteorite and hasn't been attacked by the star beast? The black hole level warrior whispered. After being reminded, Bantan also found that Carlos' speed was strangely fast. You know, even the Eternal Protoss spaceship, which is full of black hole level and universe level warriors, has the most advanced protective shields and heavy shipborne weapons. It is also very cautious and moves very slowly in this group of meteorites. Carlos' speed at this moment was actually 10 times faster than that of the Eternal Protoss spaceship. How is this possible? Bantan looked bewildered. At this time, another cosmic level strongman, Shimu, also came over. After knowing the situation, he also looked strange and shook his head repeatedly. My lord, what should we do now? Asked the black hole level strongman. Chase. What else can we do? The spaceship goes at full speed and chases Carlos. Bantan said in a deep voice. Yes, sir. The Eternal Protoss on the spaceship all responded in unison. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Several Eternal Protoss spaceships turned into several golden lights and chased in the direction where Carlos fled. The Faith Met shuttled through the meteorites, and none of the star beasts hidden in the meteorites dared to show their heads. Haha, this speed is so exciting. In the cockpit, Xia Xingchen smiled. Xia Xingchen and Bansaki explored among the meteorites, trembling with fear and treading on thin ice. They were in danger countless times, and their speed was not much faster than that of a turtle. It was really too aggrieved. The meteorite area is so dangerous that even a cosmic level strongman has to beware of the dangers in the meteorites, so the speed of travel is naturally slow. Xia Xingchen passed the primary trial and obtained the badge of Usulan. The danger of the meteorite area no longer exists for him. This extremely dangerous starfield is like his own backyard for Xia Xingchen, and he can wander around as he wants. Moreover, Xia Xingchen was surprised to find that the suppression of the meteorite on his mental power also disappeared. His omniscience field can spread millions of kilometers again, covering half of the meteorite area. Xingchen, how can you fly so fast? Have you explored this road and marked the dangerous meteorites? Impossible. Even if you can avoid the dangerous meteorites, the star beasts will not let you go. Carlos looked at Xia Xingchen with a confused look on his face. Carlos, I forgot to tell you. When I was looking for you in the meteorite area, I accidentally broke into a trial. It turned out to be a trial left by Universe Supreme. I passed the first step of the trial and obtained the right to enter and exit the meteorite area and the mist area freely. When the star beasts saw me, they could only retreat. The dangers in the meteorites would not be triggered. For me, the meteorite area is no different from an ordinary asteroid belt. The speed of our flight is naturally very fast. Xia Xingchen smiled and explained his previous experience to Carlos. However, he concealed the information about the Fallen. For Carlos, the Fallen is still too far away. Knowing too much is harmful and useless. Before entering the Mist Sea, I collected information on the Universal Civilization Network. Some extremely ancient information records that the Mist Sea is indeed a trial place left by a great being. I didn't expect it to be true. Xingchen, you are so amazing that you can actually pass the trial left by the Universe Supreme. Carlos looked envious. Just good luck. Xia Xingchen suddenly frowned. Xia Xingchen sensed that several strange spaceships suddenly flew over and followed him. Although the distance was still far, more than 100,000 kilometers. However, the speed of those spaceships was extremely fast, and the distance between them and him was rapidly shortened. No matter how good the performance of the Faith Mecha was, no matter how fast it was a mecha after all, and it could not fly long distances as well as a spaceship. Xingchen, what's wrong? Carlos asked when he saw that Xia Xingchen looked different. It was those Eternal Protoss spaceships I saw before. It should be that our tracks were exposed. Xia Xingchen said. What should we do then? Carlos's face changed, and he became a little anxious. Don't worry. They can't catch up. Xia Xingchen smiled faintly and turned his head to look at the area he had just passed. At this moment, this meteorite area was quiet and dead silent. However, under Xia Xingchen's omniscience perception, this area was full of dangers and countless ferocious star beasts were dormant. It was just that they were afraid of the Usulan badge on their chests, so they dared not show up. Xia Xingchen could pass smoothly, but it would be difficult for the Eternal Protoss spaceships to pass. As Xia Xingchen expected, several spaceships of the Eternal Protoss had just entered this area when they first touched a poisonous meteorite. A large area of poisonous fog spread out, completely blocking the starfield ahead. Although the Eternal Protoss spaceships are well sealed, the poisonous fog is extremely corrosive. Several spaceships slowly passed through the poisonous fog, and the hulls were corroded and pitted. The original golden light on the hulls also disappeared, and the remaining corrosive liquid emitted a strange green light. Not long after flying, a huge star beast blocked the road. This star beast is like a huge white-haired gorilla, hundreds of meters tall, with strong limbs, jumping between meteorites at a very fast speed. Once the star beast is pursued, it will immediately flee. Once the pursuit stops, it will throw large pieces of meteorite fragments to attack the spaceship. The most annoying thing is that it even threw its own excrement with the meteorite fragments. Bantan and Shamu, two cosmic level powerhouses, joined forces and finally killed the star beast. Back on the spaceship, the two cosmic level warriors were smelly and their armor was covered with the residue of star beast excrement. The two washed for a full hour, but they still exuded the strange odor of star beasts. My lord, there are 3 more star beasts sneaking ahead, and they seem to be ready to attack us. A black hole level warrior came to report the situation, and couldn't help covering his mouth and nose. Kill. Who dares to block the way? Kill them all. Bantan looked unfriendly and shouted angrily. My lord, we have lost Carlos' signal. He may have left the meteorite area. Are you sure we want to continue chasing him? The black hole level warrior reminded. Has the signal been lost? Shimu frowned and whispered, it's really strange. Why are these star beasts coming towards us? Why don't they attack Carlos? Yes. Banton was also surprised. There must be something strange about this matter. However, at this point, we can only continue chasing him. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 1805 Shelter. When the Eternal Protoss spacecraft was trapped in the meteorite group and had difficulty moving forward, Xia Xingchen had already driven the Faith Mech, carrying Carlos, and successfully left the meteorite area and entered the mist area. The strange fog that lingered in the mist area disappeared in front of Xia Xingchen, and the cosmic storms that could be seen everywhere also disappeared. The dangerous secret realm of the Mist Sea seemed to Xia Xingchen to be a smooth road. Xingchen, are we going to leave the Misty Sea like this? Carlos suggested. I found a cosmic artifact hidden in a very cold shuttle nebula. Let's get the artifact first. Carlos. Although I have the authority to enter the misty area and the meteorite area freely. However, the danger does not only come from the Misty Sea. The biggest danger is the Eternal Protoss. They are chasing us behind us. Although we are trapped for a while, we will be able to escape sooner or later. Only you and I know the coordinates of the cosmic artifact. I will send you out of the Misty Sea first, and then I will come back to get the artifact. Xia Xingchen said in a deep voice. He still put Carlos' safety first. Xingchen, I listen to you. But, is there any safe place in this universe? Carlos smiled bitterly. The power of the Eternal Protoss is too great. Even if he hides at the end of the universe, he will be found by the Eternal Protoss. Yes, the Spacetime Academy. I have submitted an asylum application to the Academy and have been granted. Xia Xingchen looked at Carlos with a smile on her face. Don't worry, I'm here. No one dares to touch you again. Spacetime Academy. Can I enter the Spacetime Academy? Carlos was excited, his face full of longing. Yes, although not as a student. But with my current authority, your treatment is almost the same as that of ordinary students. For example, you can use the facilities such as the big library freely. Xia Xingchen knew that what Carlos wanted most was knowledge. Great. Carlos was delighted and walked around excitedly. Suddenly, he hugged Xia Xingchen tightly, his voice trembling. Xingchen, I don't know how to thank you. Carlos, you helped me more. Xia Xingchen's eyes were slightly red. Let's not say thank you to the two of us. It's too formal. Okay. Carlos slowly calmed down and returned to his usual calm and wise state, his heart full of longing for the Spacetime Academy. The Eternal Protoss mobilized millions of spaceships and set up a blockade around the Misty Sea, trying to stop Xia Xingchen and Carlos from leaving. However, the Misty Sea is too vast, and millions of spaceships are just a drop in the ocean in the universe. Relying on the high performance of the Faith Mecha, Xia Xingchen easily bypassed the Eternal Protoss blockade. A month later, the Faith Mecha entered the starfield, where the Spacetime Academy was located. Xingchen, what's going on in this starfield? Why is everything still? Carlos saw this still starry sky, the stars and planets, that did not move, and he couldn't help but shouting when he saw the usually calm him. When I first came here, I was as shocked as you. Xia Xingchen smiled. It is said that there are great powers in the universe fighting in this starfield, and the energy released makes the time of the starfield stand still. In short, the flow of time in the Spacetime Academy is very strange. You have been in the outside world for 3 to 5 years, but in fact, I have been practicing in the academy for nearly 20 years, which is why I have the strength I have today. 20 years. Carlos was shocked. No wonder. I feel that you are very different from before, not only in strength, but also in state of mind. In just a few years, even if your strength has improved by leaps and bounds, your state of mind cannot change so much. Changed? Why don't I feel it? Xia Xingchen smiled and had already landed on the surface of the planet of the Spacetime Academy in the Mecha. What a big city. So many people. Black hole level masters can be seen everywhere. Carlos looked at the students on the street with a look of shock on his face. This is where I live. Xia Xingchen took Carlos to Jingxian. Carlos saw the huge courtyard, and there were many young black hole level masters waiting in front of the door to visit Xia Xingchen, and he was stunned. Carlos also thought that Xia Xingchen had a high status in the Spacetime Academy, but he didn't expect that everyone wanted to curry favor with him. Let's go, don't bother with them, they are just mediocre people, Xia Xingchen said lightly, pulling Carlos. His figure twisted and teleported to the interior of Jingxi Academy. Hey, I finally met Xia Xingchen and wanted to make friends with him, but I missed this good opportunity again. I can't help it. Xia Xingchen's personality is notoriously weird. He likes to practice alone. There are only a few people who can be called friends, no matter if he is weird or not. I have the death order of my family on my back. I must make friends with Xia Xingchen. If 1 month doesn't work, I will wait for 3 months. If 3 months doesn't work, I will wait for a year. Even if we can't become friends, we should give him the face of chatting for a few words and having a meal. The students in front of Jingxi Academy all looked disappointed and whispered. In Jingxi Academy, at the stone table next to the pond, Xia Xingchen personally brewed a pot of good tea for Carlos. You just called those students mediocre? Carlos opened his mouth wide, his eyes full of astonishment. He saw clearly, just now, that the students in front of Jingxi Academy were all the best of their races. The top young talents in the entire universe. They were actually called mediocre by Xia Xingchen? Then what was he? Waste? After Carlos arrived at the Spacetime Academy, his self-esteem was severely hit. Carlos, you are different from them. Xia Xingchen saw what Carlos was thinking and whispered, you just have bad opportunities. If you were given a better opportunity, your achievements would definitely be higher than mine. Xingchen, I know you are comforting me. I still know how much I'm worth. Carlos smiled and shook his head. After drinking a pot of tea, the two friends chatted for a while. Xia Xingchen stood up and said, let's go, Carlos, I'll take you to see my teacher, Supervisor Bahuang. Okay. Carlos had heard of the supervisor of the Space-Time Academy before, and he felt a little nervous at the thought of meeting such a powerful person in the universe. Swish. Xia Xingchen opened the space door and pulled Carlos to walk in. The next moment, they appeared on the top of a green mountain. On the top of the mountain, in the octagonal pavilion, a human man in a wide robe was looking up at the bright moon hanging high in the sky and drinking by himself. Teacher, I'm back. Xia Xingchen bowed to Bahuang. Chapter 1806, Love between men and women, but the hero's breath is short. I'm glad you're back. The Misty Sea is full of dangers, and your master is also worried about you. Bahuang put down the wine glass in his hand, looked at Xia Xingchen with a doting look on his face. I'm sorry to trouble you, teacher. Xia Xingchen felt warm in the heart and introduced, teacher, here's my good friend Carlos. Carlos, this is my teacher Bahuang. He is the supervisor Bahuang. Carlos was shocked and whispered, is your teacher also a human? Xia Xingchen nodded and said, the teacher is an ancient human with a long lifespan. He is hundreds of thousands of years old. No wonder. Carlos hurriedly saluted Bahuang and whispered, senior, I'm Carlos from the Mechanical Clan, a friend of Xingchen. Bahuang smiled and said, Carlos, I often hear Xingchen mention you. He said that you are his best friend. It is very rare in this universe that a human and an artificial intelligence can become life and death friends. I have always wanted to meet you. During this time, you can stay on my planet. If there is a chance, I will guide you. Carlos was stunned for a while and whispered, but, I'm from the Mechanical Clan. It should not be convenient for senior to guide me. Bahuang smiled, what's inconvenient? Even Xingchen can talk about the equality of all beings. All races in the universe are treated equally. Am I not as good as my own apprentice? Thank you, senior. Carlos was flattered and bowed quickly. It was a great blessing to get Bahuang's guidance. Teacher Xia Xingchen knew that everything Bahuang did was for him. It is conceivable how he doted on him, and a warm current surged in his heart again. In this cold and boundless universe, Xia Xingchen left his race and his hometown. Even with friends, he often felt lonely. But here in Bahuang, Xia Xingchen found the warmth of home. Xingchen, tell me about your experience in the Misty Sea this time. Bahuang asked Xia Xingchen and Carlos to sit in front of him, waved his hand, and poured 2 glasses of fruit wine. The Misty Sea is a unique starfield. It is outside the observation range of the supervisor. I'm also curious about the situation in the Misty Sea. Xia Xingchen took a sip from the wine glass and began to tell Bahuang about his experience in the Misty Sea. Xia Xingchen talked about how he was trapped in the thick fog of the mist area and was caught in a cosmic storm with his life or death uncertain. Carlos was very nervous when he heard Xia Xingchen's thrilling experience. He clenched his fists tightly. Although he knew that Xia Xingchen had escaped, he was still worried. The Misty Sea is such a dangerous place. If I had known it was so dangerous, I would never have sent a signal to let Xingchen save me. Carlos thought to himself. Bahuang, however, looked calm and unmoved. Although Xia Xingchen's experience was dangerous, there are many more dangers in the universe. More importantly, Bahuang was very confident in Xia Xingchen and knew that a mere cosmic storm would not be able to do anything to him. However, when Xia Xingchen talked about entering the meteorite area, meeting the Guardian, and participating in the trial, Bahuang suddenly stood up, and his face changed drastically. In Xia Xingchen's heart, Bahuang always looked calm and unrestrained. He had never seen him lose his composure like this before, so he quickly asked, "Teacher, what's wrong? Did you really get the qualification for the trial left by Lord Yusuran, the leader of the 7th Legion of the Fallen?" Bahuang asked solemnly. Yes. Xia Xingchen took out Yusuran's badge and handed it to Bahuang with both hands. Bahuang took it solemnly, staring at the pupil pattern on the badge. After a long time, he let out a long sigh and said happily, "It is indeed the badge of Lord Yusuran. Xingchen, you are indeed a person favored by the goddess of luck, and you have got another great opportunity. Teacher, I know this opportunity is not small. However, the trial left by Yusuran is too difficult. With my current strength, I can't even pass the second trial." Xia Xingchen said. "Of course you can't pass. If you pass all 4 trials and obtain the inheritance of Yusuran, that would be great." Bahuang shook his head, his eyes full of envy. "You don't understand how lucky you are." Xia Xingchen said, "Please give me some advice, teacher." "Xingchen, you already know something about the Spacetime Academy. You should know that the Spacetime Academy, the Samsara Cemetery and other cosmic holy places are actually organizations set up by the Old Man of Spacetime and the other 6 cosmic powers to train and select the fallen." Bahuang said. "I know this." Xia Xingchen nodded. "It is an incomparable honor to become a fallen and fight for the future of the universe. However, there are not many places for the fallen, and the competition is very fierce. Even as a teacher, I failed in the selection of the fallen, so I had to settle for the second best, and became a supervisor. You can also see that supervisors are actually similar to prisoners, and it is a hard job." Bahuang shook his head and smiled bitterly. "I actually have selfish motives for accepting you as my apprentice. I value your talent, and want you to succeed me as a supervisor. Only in this way can I get rid of the constraints of the supervisor identity. Teacher, even I have no chance to pass the fallen angel selection." Xia Xingchen frowned slightly. "I didn't say that. However, the chance is very slim. After all, you are still too young and lack the foundation. Moreover, in addition to strength, luck is also needed to get a place." Bahuang said. "However, the trial of Lord Yusuran gives you the opportunity to become a fallen angel directly. This is a great opportunity. You must seize it." Xia Xingchen pursed his lips and fell into silence. To be honest, Xia Xingchen didn't care much about becoming a fallen angel. As for the final battle at the end of the universe, Xia Xingchen didn't have any idea. He just thought it was a rumor that was illusory and had nothing to do with him. Xia Xingchen now just wanted to settle Carlos, return to the Misty Sea to take out the cosmic artifact he had hidden, and then immediately return to the Milky Way, return to Shianyuan Star, to see his wife Kinjana, and take care of his elderly father. Jaina has paid too much for me. I can't let her wait any longer. Xia Xingchen could no longer suppress his longing for his hometown and relatives. Before, the Elder and the Eternal Gods had been obstructing and blocking the route to the Milky Way. Now, Xia Xingchen has eliminated the Elder, and is also able to cross the blockade of the Eternal Gods. Teacher, please forgive my naivety. In my heart, no matter how great the opportunity is, it is not as important as my wife and family. After I retrieve the cosmic artifact hidden by Carlos, I will go home immediately. As for the test in the Misty Sea, you can try it again when you have a chance in the future. Xia Xingchen whispered. Xingchen, love is long lasting, but heroes are short lived. When an opportunity comes, you must seize it immediately. If you let it slip away, you will regret it for the rest of your life. Bahuang sighed and said, Teacher, I don't regret it. Xia Xingchen said. Chapter 1807 Colorful Crystal. In that case, I won't force you. Bahuang nodded. Xingchen, I respect your decision. Thank you, teacher. Xia Xingchen bowed and thanked him. I just want to go home and take a look. I will be back in 2 or 3 years at most and continue to practice with you. In the long river of time, 2 or 3 years is indeed not much. After all, we are human beings, emotional animals, and it is inevitable that you will miss your relatives. Bahuang asked, when are you going to leave? I will return to the Misty Sea, find the cosmic artifact hidden by Carlos, and then return directly to the Milky Way. Xia Xingchen looked at Bahuang and Carlos. I would like to take this opportunity to say goodbye to you. Xingchen, you go quickly and come back quickly, so as to avoid more trouble at night. Bahuang said. Carlos walked up and hugged Xia Xingchen, whispering, Xingchen, say hello to Princess Crossing for me. Got it. Xia Xingchen nodded, waved his hand to tear open the space, returned to the Spacetime Academy, made some simple preparations, and then drove the Faith Mech to fly towards the Misty Sea again. Eternal Star. In the huge and majestic palace of the Lord of Gods. Bantan and Shimu knelt in the center of the palace, lowered their heads, and their bodies trembled uncontrollably. In front of them, the eternal Lord of Gods sat on a high throne, with an angry look on his face, and scolded, 2 idiots. You let Carlos escape again. And there was only one spaceship left. Hundreds of black hole level warriors died, and only less than 10 were left. Lord of Gods, please listen to my explanation. That Xia Xingchen found Carlos one step ahead. He was full of bad intentions and deliberately led us to the dangerous area of the meteorite zone. The 2 of us fought desperately and survived by chance. Bangtan defended in a low voice. Yes, Lord God. Shimu also said hurriedly. Even the 2 of us were seriously injured several times. We were able to leave that hellhole alive because we were blessed by Lord God. Xia Xingchen again. The eternal God snorted coldly. He is just a black hole level, but he played around with you 2 cosmic levels. Hundreds of black hole levels. He didn't even have to do it himself, and he killed and injured you. I really don't know, you idiots. Do you really have the great blood of our race in your bodies? Lord God. Although the 2 of us were wrong, we also made contributions. Xia Xingchen was so scared when he saw the spaceship of the Eternal God clan that he fled directly with Carlos, and he didn't even have time to take the cosmic artifact. Bantan said hurriedly. Oh, the artifact is still there? The god raised his eyebrows and opened his eyes, with golden light flashing in them. The Misty Sea is the burial place of Usaran, which is very special. Even the supervisor cannot observe the situation in the Misty Sea, so the Eternal God Lord naturally cannot observe it. However, since Xia Xingchen and Carlos have left the Misty Sea, the Eternal Lord can deduce that the cosmic level artifact is not on them. In other words, the cosmic level artifact is still hidden in the Misty Sea. Since the artifact is still there, I will not punish you this time. If you dare to do it again, even if you are cosmic level, you will be dealt with according to the clan rules. The Eternal Lord said coldly. Thank you, sir. There will never be a next time. Bantan and Shimu were both delighted and knelt down to thank him. Go to the Universal Company again. No matter how much it costs. Rent the supercomputer future again. Calculate the location of the artifact. The Lord said. Yes, sir. Bantan and Shimu were both stunned and responded repeatedly. The supercomputer future has amazing computing power. It is said that it can deduce the movements of the entire universe in the next 1000 years. The location where Carlos hid in the meteorite area was calculated by the Eternal God clan at a huge cost. The location where Carlos hid the artifact can naturally be calculated by the future. However, Carlos is just a small black hole, not worth mentioning. But the cost of calculating the cosmic artifact is 10 times, or even 100 times, that of Carlos. This price is very high, and even the Eternal God clan can hardly afford it. But since the Lord God has given the order, it can be seen that he has made up his mind and will do his best to snatch the cosmic artifact. A golden light flew into the shuttle nebula. This place is so cold. In the cockpit, Xia Xingchen couldn't help but tighten his clothes and whispered, "Carlos really knows how to find a place. He hides the artifact in such a place. Others can't find it in 10,000 years." According to the coordinates provided by Carlos, Xia Xingchen came to a blue ice meteorite, suddenly stretched out his hand, and a golden drill flew out of the air, smashing the meteorite to pieces. Found it. Xia Xingchen saw a small black box among the fragments of the meteorite, and his face showed joy. He stretched out his hand and the box automatically flew into his palm. Xia Xingchen couldn't wait to open the box, and inside was a palm-sized colorful crystal. This crystal is extremely regular, obviously not naturally formed, but a man-made product. Is this a cosmic artifact? Xia Xingchen looked at this colorful crystal and was slightly stunned. From the surface, Xia Xingchen could not see anything special about the colorful crystal. A cosmic artifact? How can it be so easy to understand? Xia Xingchen put the colorful crystal into his personal space, ready to return to the Milky Way first, and slowly comprehend the secrets hidden in the colorful crystal. Xia Xingchen drove the mecha out of the shuttle nebula, and was about to leave. Suddenly, the starry sky in front of him twisted, and hundreds of golden spaceships appeared. They were the interstellar spaceships of the eternal gods. After spending so much money, we can only deduce that the artifact is hidden in the shuttle nebula, but we don't know the exact location. It will take a long time to find it. On the bridge of a spaceship, Banton, wearing a brand new black battle armor, secretly complained, "It's good to know the approximate location. At worst, we will blow up the shuttle nebula and slowly look for it. It will take hundreds of years to find it." Shimu said. Beep, beep. An alarm sounded on the spaceship. "Sir, an unidentified object has been found ahead." A black hole level warrior came up to report, and at the same time, the image of the unidentified object was also transmitted. It was a golden mecha. The Eternal Protoss has advanced technology, and the image clarity is extremely high. Even the driver's face is clearly displayed. Xia Xingchen, Banton and Shimu exclaimed together. The result of the future deduction is correct. The cosmic artifact is indeed hidden in the shuttle nebula. Xia Xingchen actually sneaked back to get it. "We ran into him," Banton shouted. "Stop him. This time, we must stop him." Shimu was ecstatic. The cosmic artifact has fallen into his hands, and the source of faith on him. This is killing two birds with one stone. On the other side, Xia Xingchen saw the Eternal Protoss fleet that suddenly appeared, and frowned slightly. He knew that something was wrong, and thought to himself, big trouble. Chapter 1808. The only choice. Escape. Facing the warships of the eternal gods, Xia Xingchen was very decisive. The faith mech turned into a golden stream of light, and fled directly to the direction of the meteorite area. The shuttle nebula is more than 10 light years away from the meteorite area. With the speed of the faith mech, it is only a few jumps away. As long as he can escape into the meteorite area, Xia Xingchen will be unimpeded. The warships of the eternal gods will be blocked by the meteorite area, and they will have a hard time just like last time. Escape into the meteorite area. I can survive. Xia Xingchen thought to himself. Want to escape again? Banton smiled coldly. Xia Xingchen, you can't jump away this time. Charge the air condensation cannon and fire. With Banton's order, all the warships of the eternal gods were exposed in front of silver white cannons, and golden light condensed at the muzzle, and then they fired. Boom. With a loud noise that shook the earth, dozens of golden beams of light attacked Xia Xingchen. Xia Xingchen was ready, and could let the mech make evasive actions at any time. However, Xia Xingchen was shocked to find that these golden beams were not aimed at him, but at the void around him. Boom. 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 The artillery roared, and dozens of golden beams intersected beside Xia Xingchen, and 8 golden bright spots appeared. At the same time, 3 straight golden lines in different directions were derived from each bright spot, which actually formed a huge cube cage, trapping the faith mech in it. Xia Xingchen immediately felt that the space became very sticky, like paste. The flight speed of the faith mech slowed down significantly, and jump was impossible. Air condensation cannon. Xia Xingchen suddenly remembered that he had seen this super technology on the Universal Civilization Network. The function of the air condensation cannon is not to kill the enemy, but to block the space and trap the enemy. It can be seen that the Eternal Protoss came prepared this time. Humph, Shamu, the two of us will go and capture Xia Xingchen in person. Avenge the previous shame. Banton snorted coldly, took the lead in leaving the spaceship, and his figure suddenly twisted, and he had teleported outside the cube cage. Okay. Shimu followed closely behind, approaching Xia Xingchen from another direction, completely blocking his retreat. Behind Banton and Shimu, hundreds of Eternal Protoss spaceships were lined up in a row, forming an encirclement, encircling Xia Xingchen in the center. On the spaceships, the Eternal Protoss's black hole level masters were all wearing armor, holding weapons in their hands, ready for battle. Once something unexpected happened, such as Xia Xingchen trying his best to break out of the confinement space of the condensed air cannon, or someone wanted to help Xia Xingchen from the outside, they would go all out. Condensed air cannon, to cosmic level masters, hundreds of starships, and hundreds of black hole level masters. Such a battle was prepared for Xia Xingchen, a small black hole level master. It was foolproof. It's really troublesome. In the faith match, Xia Xingchen shook his head and smiled bitterly. Not to mention two cosmic level masters. Even if there were a few black hole level masters on the periphery, they would completely crush him. Xia Xingchen, hand over the treasures on your body. We will spare your life. Banton sneered, with a victorious attitude. Hand it over. Kneel down and beg for mercy. Shimu also shouted coldly. Hand it over. Hand it over. In the starry sky, the strong men of the Eternal God clan shouted loudly, and the strong mental fluctuations swept over like a storm. The position I'm in now cannot be observed by the teacher. Moreover, even if the teacher comes, he cannot interfere with the universe, and cannot help me. Now I can only rely on myself. Fighting, I will definitely not be able to win. Escape, I can't escape. Xia Xingchen thought to himself, and turned his right hand. The eye badge of Yusulan appeared in his palm. He gritted his teeth and said, this is the only way. I have no choice. But, Xia Xingchen poured his mental power into the badge, and the pupil on the badge slowly opened, and a golden light shot out from it. The golden light turned into a portal. Xia Xingchen pushed the joystick, and the faith mecha rushed towards the portal, and his figure disappeared without a trace. The portal appeared so suddenly, that it was too late for Banton and Shimu to react. Their faces changed drastically, their brows furrowed, and they flew carefully to the side of the portal. In the starry sky, blocked by the condensed air cannon, it was impossible to make a jump. Logically, a portal could not appear. However, in fact, a strange portal appeared. How did this portal appear? Where does the portal lead to? Banton and Shimu stared at each other, both with puzzled expressions. There is no other way. If Xia Xingchen escapes again this time, both of us will be punished by the Lord God. Although we know that this portal is strange and may be dangerous, we have to break in. Banton gritted his teeth and said, yes, we can only force our way in. Shimu also nodded. I'll go in and explore first, and you meet me outside. Banton shouted, his whole body glowing with golden light, adjusting his energy to the peak state, and carefully flew into the portal. Swish. Banton's eyes went dark, and he found himself in a dark passage. At the end of the passage was a golden platform floating in the starry sky. Xia Xingchen was driving a mecha, and had just landed on the golden platform. Xia Xingchen, you can't escape this time. Banton was delighted, and was about to fly over. Whoosh. A figure suddenly appeared in front of him. It was a handsome man with black tentacles wrapped around his body. How dare you trespass into the trial ground? Get out. The tentacle man glared at Banton, and a black tentacle hit his chest fiercely. Bang. The golden armor on Banton's body shattered, and he vomited blood. The whole person also flew backwards, and flew out of the portal. Banton. Seriously injured? Shimu saw a shadow flying out of the portal and quickly flew over to catch it. Seeing that Banton's chest was bloody and his bones were broken, he couldn't help but gasp. Monster. Monster. Banton uttered these two words with blood flowing from his mouth and nose, and then he fainted. Shimu did not dare to neglect it. He ordered the black hole level strongman to set up an encirclement and completely block the starfield near the portal. On the other hand, Shimu put Bantan in the emergency room of the spacecraft and contacted the Eternal Lord to explain the situation here. Xia Xingchen escaped again. And he also stole the cosmic treasure? Idiots. 2 idiots. The Eternal Lord was furious. Lord, this Xia Xingchen is really weird. We clearly fired the air condensing cannon and blocked the space, but he still opened a portal and escaped in. Bantan risked his life to chase him, encountered a monster, was seriously injured, and is still in a coma. Shimu said, "You just guard it. Wherever Xia Xingchen entered, he will definitely come out from the same place." The Eternal Lord said, "Guard it, but what if he doesn't come out?" Shimu was stunned. "If Xia Xingchen dies in the portal and never comes out, then you will guard it forever. This is your punishment," the Eternal Lord said coldly. Chapter 1809, Strange Statue. In the dark space, a luxurious golden platform floated, with nothing around. The Faith Mech landed on the platform. In the cockpit, Xia Xingchen was still in shock. His face was pale, and his back was soaked. "Haha, Xia Xingchen. I didn't expect you to come back so soon. Yes. You must have missed us." Hundreds of lifelike golden statues of various shapes stood around the golden platform. At this moment, the gold powder on the statues peeled off, and they all woke up. They were the guardians of the Misty Sea. They greeted Xia Xingchen with smiles on their faces. According to the rules left by Yusulan, the guardians can only be resurrected when there are trialists. Usually they are in the state of sculptures, or turned into meteorites, and slept in the meteorite area. Xia Xingchen left the Misty Sea, and the guardians had just turned into statues not long ago. Unexpectedly, he came back again, and activated Yusulan's badge, triggering the second intermediate trial, so they naturally woke up again. "Worrying about you? Don't be so self-indulgent." Captain Manla, the tentacle man, slowly landed on the platform from the air and said coldly, "Xia Xingchen encountered a strong enemy, and had no choice but to activate the trial. That enemy was really rampant. He dared to break into the trial ground, and was driven out by me. Dare to break into our place. He really doesn't want to live. The captain is still merciful. He just drove him out. If it were me, I would kill the intruder." "Is the Misty Sea also a place where you can break in casually?" The guardians were filled with righteous indignation and shouted loudly, "I didn't kill him because I wanted him to go out and tell his companions that the trial ground is not allowed. If I kill him, there must be more ignorant things breaking in later. By then, the more I kill, the more annoying it will be." Captain Manla explained. The guardians all suddenly realized that Captain Manla was not merciful, but killing the chicken to scare the monkey, once and for all. Xia Xingchen panted for a while, his face calmed down, and he bowed to Captain Manla to thank him. "Captain, you helped me again." "Xia Xingchen, I'm not helping you, I'm following the rules of Lord Yusulan." Manla looked at Xia Xingchen and said coldly, "You should know the rules of activating the portal and conducting the intermediate trial." "I know." Xia Xingchen gritted his teeth and whispered, "The intermediate trial is different from the primary trial. Once triggered, you can't give up. Unless I pass the trial, I can't leave here." From Captain Manla's mouth, Xia Xingchen already knew the content of the intermediate trial. Xia Xingchen also knew very well that with his current strength, it was impossible for him to pass the intermediate trial. It might take him a long time to pass the intermediate trial. But his original plan was to return to the Milky Way immediately after getting the universe-level artifact to reunite with Kinjana. Plans can never keep up with changes. Xia Xingchen would never have thought that his luck was so bad that he encountered the battleships of the Eternal Protoss. In order to save his life, Xia Xingchen could only activate the trial. "Jaina, I'm sorry. I will pass the trial as soon as possible and go home to see you." Xia Xingchen thought to himself. "Captain Manla, please arrange an intermediate trial for me immediately. I'm in a hurry." Xia Xingchen urged. "You can't pass it." Captain Manla shook his head and said slowly, "Xia Xingchen, be realistic. If you have the ability to pass the intermediate trial, you won't be forced to this point by 2 universe-level people. I advise you to calm down and practice here for a while. The master left some items that should be helpful to you. I want to try it first." Xia Xingchen shook his head with a stubborn look. "Calm down. Easy to say." Xia Xingchen's longing for the human world, his hometown, his relatives, and Kinjana has reached a point where he can't suppress it. As soon as he closed his eyes, Kinjana's figure would appear in front of him. Xia Xingchen just wanted to leave the heavenly world and go home. Since you insist, let's give it a try. Captain Manla's eyes showed disappointment, and he whispered, maybe I was wrong. You are so impatient, you can't be our new master. Maybe we can't wait until the universe is destroyed. Captain Manla waved his hand, tearing the space apart, and a space gate appeared. This space gate is very special. The border is irregular and black, like the edge of broken glass. From the space gate, a bone-chilling chill came, and Xia Xingchen felt creepy before he entered. For Jaina, I can only force my way in. Xia Xingchen gritted his teeth, and walked into the portal. Swish. The scenery in front of Xia Xingchen changed, and he found himself in a huge temple. The ceiling of this temple is extremely high, tens of thousands of meters, and candles are burning on the walls around it, but the candlelight is scarlet, dyeing the entire temple red, like a sea of blood. In front of the temple is a 1,000-meter high marble statue. The statue is a human creature wearing a laurel crown, with a handsome face, and exuding divine glory. It is sitting, 1,000 meters high, holding a golden scepter inlaid with gems in one hand, representing power. In the other hand, it holds an open heavy book, representing wisdom. Judging from the appearance of the statue, Xia Xingchen speculated that it was the god of power and wisdom of a certain race. Xia Xingchen drove the mecha, and flew to the gate of the temple, and found that there was endless void outside the temple. However, in the temple, apart from this huge statue, no signs of life were found. What is the content of the intermediate trial? Xia Xingchen looked suspicious. Crack, crack, crack. At this time, a strange sound came from the statue, and the marble on the statue's face collapsed, revealing half of the face below. Red curved horns, the face is covered with blood vessel-like tentacles, and the mouth is full of curved fangs. Just the appearance makes people feel evil. And the other half of its face is still intact, full of sacred brilliance, which is in sharp contrast with the other half of the evil face. It is not the god of power and wisdom, but the evil god. Xia Xingchen was shocked. The appearance is magnificent, and it is a normal god. But inside, it is a dirty, ugly, and evil thing. Did the god fall and become this evil? Or was it originally an evil god, but disguised as a god, stealing the power of faith of this universe race? The more Xia Xingchen thought about it, the colder he felt. Bang! The golden scepter in the evil god's hand swept across, carrying the power of heaven and earth, and smashed hard on the faith mecha. Xia Xingchen was well prepared, and had condensed the faith armor one step ahead. However, he only felt the mighty power sweeping over, and the faith armor seemed to be made of paper, and it was directly shattered into countless light points and dissipated. Chapter 18:10, State of Mind and Strength. Boom. The outer armor of the faith mech exploded instantly, and the chest was completely sunken. Its feet plowed a deep and long mark on the ground. Finally, it couldn't hold on and flew up, hitting the wall of the temple heavily, sinking deeply into it. In the cockpit, Xia Xingchen was hit hard, and spurted out a mouthful of blood. The power of this evil god is too terrifying. I'm not his opponent at all. Xia Xingchen's face was as pale as paper. He has been in the universe for a long time, and has encountered many opponents. Even when facing the universe-level strongmen of the Eternal God clan, he has never felt so powerless. No wonder Captain Manla advised me to prepare for the trial again. But I was impatient, and didn't listen to his advice. I must try it. Xia Xingchen felt regretful. Am I going to die in this trial? Xia Xingchen watched the hideous statue walk over step by step, and the ground was shaking. The statue raised the golden scepter in its hand and smashed it towards Xia Xingchen fiercely. He was extremely desperate. It's not that Xia Xingchen didn't want to resist, but the gap between the two was too big, and resistance was futile. Boom. The golden scepter fell heavily. Xia Xingchen was right below, and could only close his eyes, and wait for death. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared in front of Xia Xingchen. It was a tentacle man Manla. The black tentacles wrapped around his body turned into a black shield, easily blocking the golden scepter in the hands of the statue. Captain Manla. Xia Xingchen exclaimed with joy. You've seen it. Captain Manla smiled faintly, and the tentacles rolled up Xia Xingchen, tore through the space, and left the temple. On the golden platform, Xia Xingchen was still in shock, his face still pale. Xia Xingchen, I have broken the rules by saving you this time. Remember, this is only this time, there will definitely not be a next time. Captain Manla looked at Xia Xingchen and said lightly, Captain, I know I was wrong. I'm not arrogant, I just miss my relatives, so. Xia Xingchen whispered, it's useless to be impatient. Strong is strong, weak is weak. If you are impatient, it will delay your practice. Captain Manla said, calm down first and think seriously. This universe is actually very cruel. Only with strength can you be free and do whatever you want. Without strength, you can't move forward. Xia Xingchen was stunned. Captain Manla's words were exactly the same as what Teacher Bahuang said. Is it useful to be impatient? It's useless. Strength is the foundation. Captain, wait for me to be alone. Xia Xingchen took a deep breath, walked to the edge of the golden platform, found a secluded place, sat cross-legged and meditated, put aside distracting thoughts, and entered a meditative state. After a long time, Xia Xingchen's state of mind gradually calmed down, and his longing for his family gradually faded. This longing did not disappear, and it was impossible to disappear, but was buried in the bottom of his heart again. For now, all other thoughts must be put aside for the time being. I must find a way to defeat the evil god. Passing the trial is the right way. Xia Xingchen's thoughts gradually became clear. He opened his eyes and stood up to find Captain Manla. Manla stood in the center of the golden platform with his eyes closed. When he heard Xia Xingchen's footsteps, he slowly opened his eyes. With a smile on his handsome face, he looked at Xia Xingchen and said, what? Have you figured it out? Captain, I have figured it out. Xia Xingchen nodded and said, I must put aside distracting thoughts and improve my strength wholeheartedly. But it's strange. I used to have clear thoughts, but now I'm obviously a black hole level, much stronger, but my mind is confused, with more and more distracting thoughts, often anxious, and even unable to achieve basic inner peace. It's normal. Captain Manla nodded. The stronger the power, the higher the requirements for the state of mind. Your state of mind is improving too slowly and can't keep up with the speed of power improvement. Distractions naturally emerge. Xia Xingchen's heart trembled inexplicably, and he immediately understood. Before becoming a celestial being, Xia Xingchen improved his strength step by step, and the speed of improvement was very slow. Even if he made rapid progress occasionally, there were teachers who would give instructions and ring the alarm bell. But after entering the celestial being world, Xia Xingchen's strength improved by leaps and bounds. Especially after Xia Xingchen destroyed the spirit race and absorbed its spiritual energy, he was promoted from the initial stage of black hole level to the peak of black hole level in just a few years, and was only one step away from the universe level. Xia Xingchen often felt upset and had a lot of distracting thoughts, which started from this time. This is a manifestation of the state of mind, being unable to control power. The mismatch between state of mind and power has serious consequences. Among human spiritual practitioners, there is a saying that they are possessed by the devil. If you think about it carefully, it is not just individual life forms that will be possessed by the devil, but the entire race will also be possessed by the devil. Didn't the Mank people make rapid progress in technology in a short period of time, gain huge power, but have no ability to control it, and finally destroy themselves? Xia Xingchen only felt a sense of fear, and his whole body was cold to the bone. Thank you, Captain. Xia Xingchen bowed and thanked him. Fortunately, he found it early. If he found it later, it might be too late. Xia Xingchen's mind appeared with the meaningful eyes of Teacher Bahuang. Thinking about it carefully, the teacher should have found that his state of mind did not match the power he had obtained, but he did not say it clearly, but instead reminded him. However, Xia Xingchen's mind was full of distracting thoughts, and he did not realize Bahuang's intention at all. Captain, how can I pass the intermediate trial? Xia Xingchen asked humbly. Universe level. Captain Manla said, with your strength, you only need to be promoted to the universe level to defeat the evil god. However, although your accumulation is sufficient, your state of mind is far from enough. It is very difficult to be promoted to the universe level. So, I need to improve my state of mind now? Xia Xingchen asked, but how can I improve my state of mind? The so-called state of mind, which is also called realm by some cosmic races, is something illusory but actually exists. If you want to improve your state of mind, the easiest way is to experience. The more experience you have, the stronger your state of mind will naturally be. But this takes a lot of time. There is another way, which I think is learning. The richer the knowledge you know, the more mysteries of the universe you understand, the more mature your state of mind will naturally be. Apart from this, there is no other way. Captain Mandler said. The strength is improved quickly, but the state of mind cannot keep up. It takes a lot of time to hone and work hard. Captain Mandler's reasoning is very simple, but Xia Xingchen has never thought about it seriously before. Now thinking about it carefully, Xia Xingchen found that what Captain Mandler said is extremely reasonable. Xia Xingchen, the master once left some equipment. You should be able to use it. Captain Mandler opened a space door and took Xia Xingchen into a sealed room. In the middle of the room, there was a huge instrument, and next to it was a bed with a transparent ceiling cover, a bit like the freezer of an old spaceship. Chapter 18:11 Dream Apparatus. What kind of machine is this? Xia Xingchen looked curious. The master calls this machine a dream machine. It is a very common instrument in the universe. It allows life forms to feel an immersive fantasy while sleeping. Captain Mandler explained. Oh, humans also have a similar machine, called a dream machine. Some people with weak wills will fall into the fantasy and cannot extricate themselves, and eventually cannot distinguish between reality and virtuality. Xia Xingchen nodded. Humans invented a machine similar to the dream machine in the early days of the exploration of the universe. At that time, humans had not yet mastered the technology of interstellar jumps. Interstellar navigation was extremely long and boring, and it would take decades or even hundreds of years. Large generation spaceships came into being. Several of the generation spaceships were equipped with dream machines. Except for a few senior executives such as the captain of the generation spaceship who were awake, everyone else on the spaceship was sleeping in the freezer. However, long-term sleep will lead to the degeneration of body functions, especially brain atrophy. The main purpose of the dream machine is to prevent brain atrophy. The crew lived in an illusory dream, thinking that they were on Earth in the 21st century. That era was the most prosperous era of science, technology, culture, and economy, and was also called the Golden Age by later generations. However, the end of these generations of spaceships was extremely tragic. The crew members fell into hallucinations and could not extricate themselves. Even the captain was deeply trapped in this illusory golden age. After the energy of the spaceship was exhausted, it wandered in the endless void and became the legendary ghost ship. In the early days of the Galactic Empire, dream makers were very popular among the aristocracy. Some nobles even abandoned their bodies, leaving only their brains connected to the dream maker, trying to live forever in a wonderful dream. For this reason, Qin, the emperor of the Galactic Empire at that time, even personally ordered that the dream maker be listed as contraband. Except for a few scientific research departments, private individuals were not allowed to possess the dream maker at all. Whether it is a fantasy dream maker or a dream maker, the principle is similar. In Xia Xingchen's view, the function of the fantasy dream maker is nothing more than watching a realistic three-dimensional movie. The illusionary dream machine is very common, but the illusion left by the master is rare. Captain Mandler explained, the illusion in this illusionary dream machine is the master's personal experience of 1.8 million years. From his youth, he grew up to become the overlord of the universe, and finally joined the Legion of Fallen Angels, and then climbed to the high position of the leader of the 7th Legion. All the experiences of the master are recorded in it. Xia Xingchen's body trembled. It was a rare opportunity to be able to appreciate the life of the leader of the 7th Legion, Yusulan, from the illusionary dream machine. Xia Xingchen's current problem is that his realm is not enough. However, if he can follow Yusulan's perspective and see his life, then he can empathize with what Yusulan has experienced and experience it once. Xia Xingchen believes that his comprehension is not bad, but he is too young and lacks experience. If he experiences it in a fantasy dream, it is equivalent to a dream of 100 years, and his own realm will also be improved accordingly. Great. Xia Xingchen's body trembled slightly with excitement. He was very interested in Yusulan's experience, and couldn't wait to enter the fantasy dream. Xia Xingchen, don't worry. Captain Manla said, although this dream instrument is good, it also has a big drawback. The master's lifespan is 1.8 million years. Even in a dream, it takes at least 200 years to experience his life. Once you enter the dream, you will always be asleep. There are only two possibilities to leave. One is that you break through to the universe level, remember who you are, and naturally wake up. The other is that you need 200 years to follow the master's perspective until he dies. 200 years. Xia Xingchen took a breath. He is still less than 40 years old, and 200 years is 5 times his entire life. And this is what he experienced in a dream. It is conceivable that Yusulan has a lot of experience. I can't wait for 200 years. Xia Xingchen shook his head. Even if you don't consider Jaina who has been waiting for me, 200 years is really too long. For a cosmic level strongman, 200 years is nothing. Captain Manla shook his head slowly. The choice is in your hands. You can think about it slowly, until you figure it out. No one will force you. 200 years. Xia Xingchen still shook his head. Once he entered the dreaming instrument, he might sleep for 200 years. Although there is a chance to break through the cosmic level and wake up, the risk is still too great. Instead of entering the dreaming instrument, Xia Xingchen decided to study the cosmic level artifact 7-colored crystal found by Collis first. Maybe he can understand some secrets and take a shortcut to enter the cosmic level. Xia Xingchen took out the 7-colored crystal. The omniscience field penetrated the surface of the crystal, and he could not continue to enter. As for the appearance of the crystal, Xia Xingchen couldn't see any door. After a few days of enlightenment, Xia Xingchen got nothing, and could only take the 7-colored crystal to ask Captain Manla for advice. Well, this crystal is indeed one of the cosmic treasures that the master left in the misty sea. Captain Manla extended his tentacles, touched the surface of the crystal, closed his eyes, and felt it carefully. I can feel the master's breath from it. At the same time, it seems to contain extremely exquisite time laws. This is a rare treasure. Captain, what is the use of this crystal? Xia Xingchen asked hurriedly. I don't know. The master has too many treasures. How can I know them all? You can take it to other guardians to see. Maybe there will be unexpected gains. Captain Manla said. Thank you, Captain. Xia Xingchen bowed to thank him, and then went to ask other guardians one by one, hoping that someone could know the origin and use of the 7-color crystal. But the guardians all shook their heads, and no one knew the use of the 7-color crystal. It's speechless. I finally got the treasure, but I don't know what it's for. Carlos and I almost lost our lives for this useless thing. After wasting a whole month, Xia Xingchen still didn't get anything, and couldn't help complaining. There is no other way. I can only try the dream machine. Maybe I can enter the universe level soon. Xia Xingchen had a glimmer of luck in his heart, and found Captain Manla to apply for the right to use the dream machine. Xia Xingchen, I remind you again. Once you enter the master's dream, unless you enter the universe level, and remember your own identity, you can only wait for 200 years to leave. Captain Manla said solemnly. Captain, I know everything. But if I don't enter the dream machine, I may never be able to enter the universe level. I can't leave this place either. Xia Xingchen nodded. Okay. Since you have thought about it, I won't say much. I wish you good luck. Captain Manla asked Xia Xingchen to lie down flat, and turned on the dream machine. Buzz, there was a roar in his ears, and Xia Xingchen fell into a deep sleep, entering a long and brilliant dream. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 1812, The Stars Surrender. Xia Xingchen opened his eyes, and found himself a blue-skinned baby, wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying on a small bed. Yusulan, my child. You are so healthy and beautiful. A woman with the same blue skin came in. picked up Xia Xingchen, her face full of doting, kissing, and touching him. I'm the human Xia Xingchen, but why does she call me Yusuran? Who am I, and where is this place? Xia Xingchen's consciousness was temporarily confused, and he almost remembered his identity. However, Yusuran's powerful consciousness still completely covered Xia Xingchen's self-awareness. Mommy. The confusion on Xia Xingchen's face quickly disappeared, revealing an innocent smile, and called sweetly, "Ah, my child is really a genius, he can speak so quickly." Yusuran's mother was stunned for a moment, hurried out of the room, pulled a blue-skinned man in, and said in surprise, "The child just called me mom, he called me mom. He can speak at such a young age." The man was also surprised. He walked to the bed and teased the infant Yusuran with his fingers, smiling and said, call dad quickly. Arabadad." Yusuran showed an amazing talent for language. After trying a few times, he called out, making the man laugh, "Genius. My Zelxi child is a genius." The man picked up Yusuran with both hands, his eyes shining, and he didn't know what to say with joy. Yusuran's race is called Tar. The Tar people's bodies are not developed. Like humans, their civilization is on the technological side. The Tar people are extremely civilized. Words such as war and killing have disappeared from civilization for tens of thousands of years. They use safe and clean solar energy, so their planets are all green and picturesque, and are famous tourist destinations in the world of heaven and man. Yusuran's father, Zelshi, has a high status in the Tal tribe, and is a famous biologist. Yusuran showed a talent different from ordinary people shortly after he was born. His IQ is extremely high and his brain develops very quickly. At the age of 1, his IQ is equivalent to that of a 10-year-old Tal boy. Therefore, Yusuran also enjoyed special treatment and was trained by the Tal tribe at a high cost, hoping to train him into an outstanding scientist. Yusuran's teenage years were basically spent in the library. He never chased and fought like other peers. In his opinion, such childish behavior was extremely stupid and a waste of time. Yusuran's intelligence far exceeded that of ordinary people, making him a freak in the eyes of other teenagers. But he didn't care. He was like a shriveled sponge, constantly absorbing endless knowledge. When Yusuran was 10 years old, the knowledge he showed had shocked his father Zelshi, a top scientist in the Tal tribe. At the 18th-year-old coming-of-age ceremony, Yusuran announced his latest scientific research project, the Dark Matter Energy Project. When the scientists of the Tar tribe heard the name of this scientific research project, they all laughed at Yusuran and thought he was crazy. In the Tar People's Science Hall, young Yusuran had a debate with hundreds of scientists from various fields. A conservative scientist believed that the Tar people's solar energy technology was already very advanced, and there was no need to develop new energy. Yusuran pointed out that stars have their own lifespans. Although solar energy is good, it is not inexhaustible. When the day comes that the stars go out, the Tar people will lose the solar energy they rely on for survival, and the only outcome will be destruction. The scientist was silent for a moment and argued that even if the stars go out, with the Tar people's aerospace technology, they can find new and vibrant stars. But Yusuran's words made the entire science hall silent. What if there are no new stars in the universe, and all the stars burn out, leaving only ashes? Can our tribe only wait for extinction? All the Tar scientists present had never thought about this question. In their opinion, the destruction of the universe is too far away from them, and there is no need to worry about it. However, this sentence, spoken by a child who just turned 18, shocked the hearts of all the scientists present. This debate ended inconclusively. Yusuran did not convince these conservative and stubborn scientists to get their own research funds. However, even the most conservative and stubborn scientists were deeply impressed by the amazing talent shown by Yusuran. He is the most talented young man I have ever seen. However, he is still too young, and his ideas are unrealistic. In time, I believe he will become the hope of our race. Binz, chairman of the science committee, commented on Yusuran in front of the media. This is the first time Yusuran has tasted the taste of failure since his birth. Whatever he did before, it was easy. Yusuran felt confused, and he locked himself in the house for a whole week. Yusuran, my child. You have to understand that many things in the universe are moving along a predetermined track. Just like the stars in the universe, they all have their own tracks. They will not change because of your efforts. This is not your fault. You have to learn to accept reality. Zelxi walked into the room, put his palm on Yusuran's shoulder, and said in a deep voice, "No, father." Yusuran raised his head, with a strange light in his eyes. "I don't agree with your point of view. I can't change the stars, because I'm too weak. When I become strong, the stars will surrender." This was the moment when Yusuran awakened. From then on, he found the meaning of life, which is to become stronger, stronger than everyone else. Strong enough to make the stars surrender. That day, Yusuran left a letter to his parents, left his planet, and began a 100,000-year journey of wandering in the universe. Misty Sea, Golden Platform. Captain Manla stood beside the dream instrument, looking at Xia Xingchen on the bed, and slowly shook his head. Xia Xingchen has been sleeping for a full 10 years. Captain Manla has been observing Xia Xingchen's brainwave activity, and the instrument shows that his brainwaves are very stable. This means that Xia Xingchen has not awakened his own consciousness, and completely regards himself as Yusulan, immersed in the colorful cosmic adventure. In other words, Xia Xingchen has no possibility of breaking through to the cosmic level in a short period of time. It's been 10 years, and there is no sign of a breakthrough. Xia Xingchen still overestimates himself. Captain Manla whispered, "But, in fact, it's normal. He is too young, not even 40 years old. If he enters the cosmic level, I'm afraid he is one of the few in the entire universe. It's difficult to become a cosmic level." Captain Manla is not in a hurry at all. He slept in the mist sea for 1,000,000 years, and 10 years is just a blink of an eye for him. Chapter 1813 A Dream of 100 Years. Time flies. Another 20 years have passed. Xia Xingchen has been sleeping for 30 years, and there is still no sign of waking up. He is deeply immersed in Yusulan's experience. Yusulan has made many friends, and experienced many things in his 100,000 years of wandering in the universe. He has cried, laughed, been hunted by enemies, and was delighted to find treasures in the ruins. This is the time that Yusulan misses the most. It is extremely precious and the records are more detailed. The Tal people have a long lifespan of 500,000 years. 100,000 years of wandering in the universe have made Yusulan mature and very powerful. One day, Yusulan suddenly got tired of such a wandering life, and returned to his hometown, to live with his elderly parents. Using the large amount of funds accumulated over the years, Yusulan restarted his dream of youth, the dark matter energy plan. Yusulan found the plan he wrote when he was young in the safe in the attic, and he couldn't help shaking his head and smiling bitterly. In Yusulan's view now, he was too reckless when he was young, thinking about making a big splash, and the content of the plan was full of loopholes. It is no wonder that the scientific community of the Tar tribe opposed it unanimously, thinking that he was naive and arrogant. Even if Yusulan had received the support of the Tar tribe's top leaders and obtained his own funds, the final result would definitely be due to insufficient strength. When I'm strong, the stars will also surrender. Yusulan smiled. He has accumulated enough power to realize his dreams and ambitions and make the stars surrender. Next, Yusulan took his new plan to lobby and win over the famous scientists of the Tar tribe. No matter how talented Yusulan is, it is impossible for him to complete a large-scale research such as the dark matter energy plan alone. He needs a lot of helpers, talented, passionate, and capable helpers. The result this time is naturally different from when he was young. He won the unanimous support of scientists. Yusulan's eloquence is as good as his IQ. He quickly won over a luxurious scientific research team and obtained financial support from the largest business alliance of the Tar tribe. It only took 20 years. Yusulan completed the dark matter energy project and successfully developed a highly efficient and pollution-free new energy. He named it Original Dark Energy. Yusulan knew that this newly developed new energy was not perfect. He would spend his entire life to perfect the original dark energy and make it a perfect energy source. With the help of this energy, the Tar people will also be among the top 10 races in the universe, and even surpass these high-ranking races. Yusulan has this confidence. The success of original dark energy has brought Yusulan countless honors. He became the greatest person in the Tar people. His sculptures can be seen everywhere on the Tar people's planet. Under each statue, Yusulin's famous saying is written, "When I'm powerful, the stars will surrender." However, what Yusilin did not expect was that the original dark energy was the beginning of all disasters. At that time, the sixth race among the top 10 races was called Huang. The Huang people are a race that made their fortune through plunder. The history of the Huang people is full of blood and plunder. The Wilderness clan knew about the existence of original dark energy and ordered Yusilin to hand over the technology. Yusilin was very unwilling, but he also knew that the Tao clan, who had lived in peace for tens of thousands of years and did not know what war was, could not be the opponent of the Wilderness clan. It only took one day for the battleships of the Wilderness clan to bomb all the planets of the Tao clan into ashes. In the end, Yusilin decided to hand over the technology of original dark energy and share it with the Wilderness clan. However, Yusilin underestimated the insidiousness and brutality of the Wilderness clan. After obtaining the original dark energy technology, the Wilderness clan actually wanted to keep it for themselves. In order to prevent the Tao clan from leaking the technology, they attacked the Tao clan's planet, and tens of billions of Tao clan people died in the war. Even Yusilin's parents died under the artillery fire of the Wilderness clan. Yusilin was taken to the home planet of the Wilderness clan and imprisoned in the laboratory to let him continue to improve the original dark energy. Watching his race being destroyed, his compatriots being killed, and even his parents dying in front of him, Yusilin hated himself very much. He did not regret researching the original dark energy, because this is an inevitable move for scientific progress. Even if he doesn't research new energy, there will always be other scientists who will. At that time, the Huang people will plunder technology and destroy the race. The result is the same. Yusilin hated that he was too weak and not strong enough to protect his relatives and race when the disaster came. During this period, Yusilin was very painful and wanted to commit suicide countless times, but was saved by the Huang people. Later, in an accident, Yusilin's brain was hit and he became a madman. According to the research report of the Huang people's medical scientists, Yusilin's brain was severely damaged and the chance of recovery was very small. Even so, the Huang people still closed Yusilin for another 10 years. In the end, they finally got tired of it and threw Yusilin to a desolate planet with only death row prisoners, leaving him to fend for himself. But Yusilin used the damaged spaceship parts on this planet to build a shabby small spaceship and escaped from this planet. The Huang people realized that they underestimated the most outstanding genius of the Tao people. He is a natural strong man with an extremely strong mind. Even if his race is destroyed, he will not collapse because of it. Depression, suicide, and madness are all plans made by Yusilin to escape. At this time, Yusilin has only one goal: revenge. From then on, Yusilin's mind became as cold as ice, as hard as iron, and as ruthless as a cosmic storm. He began a 300,000-year-long escape journey, constantly avoiding the pursuit of the Wilderness tribe and trying to fight back. Until one day, Yusilin came to the Space-Time Academy, a place that can really give him strength and make him strong. HMM Xia Xingchen saw the Space-Time Academy. All the planets are slowly turning, and there is nothing special about it. Something's wrong. No. Space-Time Academy, it's not like this. The starry sky of the Space-Time Academy is still, but the starry sky here is moving. From Yusilin's fantasy, Xia Xingchen finally found the biggest flaw. This is not my Space-Time Academy. I'm not Yusilin. I'm Xia Xingchen. Human Xia Xingchen. Xia Xingchen suddenly woke up, his self-awareness awakened, and he recalled his identity. Yusilin's experience was vivid in Xia Xingchen's mind, as if he had experienced it personally. No, those are all illusions, the experiences of others. I can't immerse myself in them. I'm Xia Xingchen. In the freezer, Xia Xingchen suddenly opened his eyes. Awake. Captain Manla stood aside, just like yesterday. Captain, how long have I been asleep? After not speaking for a long time, Xia Xingchen's vocal cords were almost degenerated, and his voice was hoarse. 100 years. To be precise, 100 years and 3 months. Captain Manla said lightly. Chapter 1814, The Battle of Killing Gods. 100 years. Xia Xingchen's body shook, and he was stunned. It has really been 100 years. How is Jaina now? And my father? His body was weak. After 100 years, has he? Xia Xingchen's mind went blank, and he knelt down on his knees, tears streaming down his face unconsciously. The technology of the human galactic empire is already very advanced. However, it is mainly manifested in heavy industries such as space travel, military weapons, and mecha. Computer technology and biotechnology, due to various historical problems, are developing very slowly, not much better than the Earth era. Although human lifespan has repeatedly broken through the limit. However, the overall average lifespan is only 150 years. Only the nobles and wealthy, who spend huge sums of money to buy genetic drugs, can extend their lifespan to more than 300 years. Xia Xingchen's sleep time is really too long, 100 years. At this time, his father Xia Yu is likely to have passed away. No, father may not really have passed away. After experiencing Yusuran's dream for hundreds of thousands of years, Xia Xingchen's state of mind was more mature than before. He quickly came out of his sadness and loss, wiped the tears from his face with the back of his hand, and his eyes showed determination again. Since it's already a done deal, it won't help to be in pain and loss. Xia Xingchen calmed down, and a plan was already in his mind. After 100 years of experience in this dream, Xia Xingchen's state of mind has become completely mature. He was able to awaken his self-consciousness from Yusuran's dream and wake up, which means that his state of mind is enough to break through the universe level. Unfortunately, I'm very curious about Lord Yusuran's experience after entering the Spacetime Academy. I don't know how he will take revenge on the Wilderness Clan. Xia Xingchen sighed. In addition to Yusuran's experience in the Spacetime Academy, how did he join the Fallen, and the Fallen's final battle at the end of the universe? Xia Xingchen also wanted to know. It's a pity that he didn't have time, otherwise he would definitely continue to watch until Yusuran's life came to an end. The plan now is to break through to the cosmic level first, then defeat the evil god in the temple, pass the intermediate trial, and leave this place first. Xia Xingchen has made preparations and started to retreat to the cosmic level. In the dark space, Xia Xingchen felt that his whole body was decomposed into tiny particles and then restructured to become more stable. This is the first stage of entering the cosmic level. Any life form will restructure its body when it enters the cosmic level. Xia Xingchen felt that the density of particles in his body was 100 or even 1,000 times higher than before, and each particle contained terrifying energy. Xia Xingchen slowly opened his eyes, and dazzling golden light shot out of his pupils. He had a feeling that his body had turned into a star. Once the energy contained in the body burst out, not to mention a planet, the entire galaxy would turn into dust. The cosmic level strongman has an almost perfect body structure and an extremely long lifespan. Even for humans, whose bodies are not strong, their lifespan is calculated in millions of years. Of course, the human body has inherent defects, and metabolism will still occur, cells will still age, and the body will eventually collapse. However, as long as Xia Xingchen is willing, he can use his mental power to create a new body at any time. Teacher is right, I used to be too obsessed with the human body. Xia Xingchen smiled lightly, and the doubts in his heart were swept away. When you reach a certain level, the body is really just a skin bag, which can be replaced at any time. The human spirit is eternal. However, I'm not wrong. What I care about is not the body, but the identity of a human. Therefore, no matter what life form I evolve into, even if I'm a legendary cosmic god, I'm still a human. After Xia Xingchen's body was reconstructed, he began to condense the faith mecha again. For Xia Xingchen, the faith mecha is more important than his own body, and it can be said to be his second body. Therefore, it took him a lot of time and more meticulous to recreate the faith mecha. Xia Xingchen first created the outer shell of the faith mecha. This time, he directly condensed the golden faith armor as the external armor of the faith mecha. Unlike the black hole level, this is equivalent to the faith armor, being completely integrated with the faith mecha, and the defense level is also a step up. Xia Xingchen conducted a simple test, and found that the faith armor was immune to all attacks below the universe, including any attacks at the black hole level. After making the shell, Xia Xingchen set about making the energy core of the faith armor. The energy core naturally chose the source of faith as the core. However, Xia Xingchen felt that the energy in the source of faith was not as abundant as before. Maybe it's because I'm in the trial land, located in another dimensional space, and the power of faith, provided by the humans in the Milky Way, has been disturbed in the charging and transmission. Xia Xingchen believes that, as long as he leaves the trial land, the problem will be solved. The remaining power of faith in the source of faith is enough to allow the faith armor to operate normally, and defeat the evil god in the temple. Rumble. The brand new faith armor was manufactured, and golden beams surged all over its body, and vast energy surged in the body of the armor. In the cockpit, Xia Xingchen clenched his fists tightly, closed his eyes, and felt the power of the faith armor. Xia Xingchen is sure that every attack of the faith armor has the powerful power to break the void. The law of space is a law that every cosmic level strongman must master. Xia Xingchen has not had time to open up an independent space of his own yet. However, his power is enough to shatter the void. Captain Mandler, I have broken through and become a cosmic level. Xia Xingchen found Captain Mandler and said lightly, "So fast?" Captain Mandler was shocked. "I want to apply for a trial." Xia Xingchen said, "Should we wait a few more days until you are familiar with the power of the cosmic level?" Captain Mandler suggested. "No need." Xia Xingchen said, "I'm confident that I can pass the trial." "Okay, as long as you are sure." Captain Mandler nodded and opened the portal to the intermediate trial again. Swish. The golden faith mecha flashed, the space twisted, and it appeared in the center of the temple. "Come on, evil god. This time, I will definitely defeat you." Xia Xingchen looked up at the huge statue with a confident smile on his face. Crack, crack, crack. The statue began to shake. The stone chips on its body peeled off and slowly stood up. This time, the marble on its face completely collapsed, revealing a ferocious face that made people's heart palpitate. From user and experience, Xia Xingchen not only improved his state of mind greatly, but also learned a lot of knowledge, including the identity of this evil god. The evil god is called Nyarlathotep, a famous god of fraud in the universe. Of course, the statue in front of him is just one of its incarnations. He pretended to be the god of wisdom and strength Pradino, stole the power of faith of dozens of races, and possessed the terrifying power of the peak of the universe. Later, this incarnation of the evil god was captured by Useran, cut off from the connection with the body, and imprisoned in the void. But even Useran could only imprison the incarnation of the evil god, but could not kill it. This shows how terrifying the power of this incarnation of the evil god is. This war is a well-deserved war to kill the gods. Chapter 18:15 Defeat the evil god. Weak mortal, welcome your death. The incarnation of the evil god had a hideous face, holding a golden scepter, and swept towards Xia Xingchen. Xia Xingchen already knew that the original body of the evil god was very powerful, and it was the god of fraud of the universe, but its connection with the original body had been cut off, and only the monstrous evil thoughts remained in its body. If it was the original body of the god of fraud, it would not even need to use its own power, and only need to use exquisite fraudulent tricks to make Xia Xingchen anxious. It was able to deceive dozens of races and steal their power of faith. It can be seen that the god of fraud has a high IQ and knows how to play with people's hearts. Xia Xingchen used to think that wisdom has a limit and strength is the foundation. From Useran's hundreds of thousands of years of experience, Xia Xingchen understood a truth. Wisdom and strength are equally important. Races with only strength but no wisdom will be enslaved by some cunning races and used as cannon fodder. For example, most of the Zerg are the most typical example. Races with only wisdom but no strength. Just like the Tal tribe where Useran is, they will be bullied by more powerful races. Plunder resources and scientific and technological achievements. Fortunately, the intelligence of this evil god clone has been completely wiped out after a long time, leaving only the evil instinct. Boom. The scepter in the hand of the evil god incarnation smashed down on his head. Xia Xingchen was defeated by one move last time, and had no power to fight back. But this time, Xia Xingchen came prepared. But the faith mecha burst out with golden light, and a layer of golden protective shield condensed in front of the body. This is the starry sky barrier condensed by Xia Xingchen. The billions of stars in the barrier are all shining with golden light, which is extremely dazzling. The scepter smashed down and hit the protective shield. Bang! The golden light burst out, and the whole temple was shaking. Stones kept falling from the ceiling and almost collapsed. It was blocked so easily. In the past, I suffered a lot and almost died here. Xia Xingchen showed a faint smile on his face. He didn't even use his full strength to easily block the attack of the evil god incarnation. In just 100 years, the strength of the evil god incarnation has not weakened at all. It also couldn't possibly understand what it meant to let go. Every attack was done with all its might. Last time, Xia Xingchen was killed in one move. This time, it was easily resisted. This shows how huge the leap in strength is from black hole level to universe level. It's like a human being promoted to a celestial being. Even the life form has undergone a fundamental change. It's meaningless to continue to entangle with you. You are not my opponent. Xia Xingchen shouted, and the energy of the whole body of the Faith Mecha burst out, and one after another vast shock wave bombarded like ripples. Bang, bang, bang. Under the impact of one impact after another, the statue retreated again and again, leaving a series of deep footprints on the floor. Boom. In the end, the statue was even blown up, and its body hit the wall, and sank deeply into it. Xia Xingchen wanted to get back the humiliation he had received before from the other party. Die. Xia Xingchen shouted, and the right hand of the Faith Mecha condensed a golden drill and threw it at the statue, directly punching a big hole in the chest. Ouch. The incarnation of the evil god screamed and was firmly nailed to the wall by the golden drill. Its limbs struggled desperately, but could not break free. Finally, its size dimmed, and the consciousness entrenched on the statue also disappeared, turning into pieces of rubble and falling down. Defeated. Xia Xingchen let out a long sigh, and a hint of joy appeared on his face. Xia Xingchen knew very well that he had only defeated the incarnation of the evil god, but did not kill it. Even Yusulan could not do anything to the incarnation of the evil god, and Xia Xingchen could not kill it. He just temporarily dispersed its consciousness. After a period of time, the consciousness of the incarnation of the evil god will recondense. However, this is no longer something Xia Xingchen needs to worry about. A golden portal appeared, and Xia Xingchen drove the Faith Mecha, and stepped into it, and instantly returned to the golden platform. Congratulations. Congratulations, Xia Xingchen. Congratulations on passing the intermediate trial. Hundreds of guardians appeared on the golden platform together, surrounded Xia Xingchen in the middle, and all applauded and congratulated him. Thank you, everyone. Xia Xingchen accepted it with a smile. Xingchen, I really didn't expect that you could pass the intermediate trial so quickly. Captain Manla came over and said with a smile. Haha, it's just luck. Xia Xingchen nodded with a smile. What are you going to do next? Captain Manla asked. I suggest that you accept the blessing of Lord Yusulan, join us, and become a guardian. This means that you will gain eternity. You should know that even the gods of the universe will fall, so they are constantly pursuing eternity. Eternity. Xia Xingchen felt his mouth dry. In the past, Xia Xingchen had not reached his current position, and had never thought about the meaning of eternity. Xia Xingchen followed Yusulan's perspective, and experienced a life of hundreds of thousands of years, and saw too many powerful beings in the universe. The final result of these powerful beings was that they fell on the road to eternity. Even Yusulan himself often worried that his life would come to an end. Under the invisible pressure of death, Yusulan broke through the limit again and again, and continued to extend his life. Fear of death and pursuit of eternity are the survival instincts hidden deep in the genes of every living being. No one could refuse, not even Xia Xingchen. Xia Xingchen fell into silence, seriously considering Captain Manla's proposal. For a long time, Captain Manla, I appreciate your invitation, but I'm sorry. If the price of eternity is freedom, then I would rather give up this eternity. Xia Xingchen resisted the temptation, and bowed to Captain Manla. Well, Xingchen, I was right about you. It would be a loss for a talent like you to join our guardians, if you can't resist the temptation. So, are you leaving? Captain Manla was not surprised, but smiled and nodded, with a stronger admiration for Xia Xingchen in his eyes. Yes, I'm going to leave immediately. I've been sleeping for 100 years. I don't know what's going on outside. My wife, my father, the Empire, and Carlos. I don't know what's going on. Xia Xingchen was deeply worried about Kinjana and his father's IU. As for Carlos, he is an artificial intelligence. His lifespan is long, and he follows his teacher Bahuang. In just 100 years, he should be fine. Okay. Xia Xingchen, we are all waiting for you. You still have 2 trials to complete. Captain Mandler reminded. I hope you can surpass us and complete the last 2 trials. Thank you, Captain. Goodbye, friends. Xia Xingchen smiled and nodded, flew out of the trial area in the mecha, and returned to the universe. Xia Xingchen immediately found that a spaceship of the Eternal Protoss was quietly parked in the starry sky. Chapter 1816, Revenge. In the starry sky, an Eternal God Clan spaceship was parked in the void. On the spaceship, 2 cosmic-level strongmen, Shamu and Banton, were slumped on the sofa, with many empty bottles rolling down their feet. Brother Banton, come on, have another drink. Shamu unscrewed another bottle of wine. This bottle of wine was extremely strong and the alcohol was extremely strong. In an instant, the cabin was filled with a strong aroma of wine. Brother Shamu, we have been waiting here for 100 years. This Xia Xingchen showed no signs of leaving. And the Lord of God was so cruel and did such a big thing. Xia Xingchen didn't show up. Do you think he died in there? Bantam's expression was gloomy and his spirit was very decadent. For cosmic level strongman, 100 years is just a blink of an eye. Bantan and Shamu were punished to guard Xia Xingchen by the portal for a full 100 years. For them, it was not a big deal. Not to mention 100 years, even if it was 1,000 or 2,000 years, the 2 of them would have the patience to wait. However, no matter how long it takes, there must be an end. Bantan was so anxious and haggard because he was worried that Xia Xingchen would die in the trial. Then the 2 of them would probably have to guard forever. It's possible. Shimu's face also dimmed. If he hadn't died, he would have appeared long ago. Oh, forget it, forget it. Drink, drink. Banton sighed. He was a cosmic level strongman, but he could only use alcohol to anesthetize a long and boring time. On this Eternal God's guardship, 2 cosmic level strongmen were so decadent. Not to mention the ordinary crew members on the ship, they were also drunk and drunk all day long. What's more, they even took psychotropic drugs to get a momentary pleasure. A black hole level crew member, holding a bottle of wine in his hand, staggered towards the bathroom. Huh, where's the portal? The crew member accidentally glanced at the starry sky outside. There should have been a strange portal there, but it disappeared at this moment. Am I drunk? The crew member rubbed his eyes in disbelief and looked over again, but there was still nothing. What's going on? The crew member shuddered. After all, he was a black hole level. His pituitary gland immediately began to secrete hormones to decompose the alcohol in his blood. He woke up and walked quickly to the instrument, his fingers dancing on the keyboard. A few minutes later, the crew member was sure that it was not his eyes that were blurry. The portal had indeed disappeared. He immediately reported the situation to Bantan and Shamu. What? Disappeared? Really disappeared? Bantan and Shamu were also drunk. They walked to the porthole with surprise on their faces, looking at the empty starry sky. Could it be that Xia Xingchen really died, failed the trial, and the portal disappeared? Shimu's eyes widened. No. He came out. Finally came out. Bantan smiled. I have captured his energy fluctuations. It is indeed him. This kid is really patient. He actually hid for 100 years. Yes, I also found his trace. Shimu showed ecstasy on his face and ordered excitedly, surround him. This time he must not escape. Hearing the orders of Bantan and Shimu, the whole spaceship was boiling. The decadence of the eternal gods was swept away, and they were all extremely excited, their faces flushed, as if they had been injected with chicken blood. As long as they caught Xia Xingchen, they could complete the mission and leave this hellhole. How could they not be excited? Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The black hole level masters put on their equipment and flew out of the cabin at high speed, turning into streams of light, trapping Xia Xingchen without any direction. The condensed air cannon on the spaceship also began to charge, and light condensed on the muzzle, ready to fire at any time, to block Xia Xingchen's way. Flying at the front of the team were Bantan and Shamu. They had waited for 100 years in the starry sky, and they had been decadent for 100 years. They didn't want to experience such a painful experience again. Xia Xingchen, let me see how you escape this time. Bantan's eyes were full of bloodthirsty killing. In the starry sky, Xia Xingchen sat in the cockpit of the Faith Mecha, not panicking at all. He looked at the menacing eternal gods with a smile on his face. The eternal gods had waited for 100 years. Hadn't he waited for 100 years? Xia Xingchen had been waiting for this day for too long. Escape. Xia Xingchen shook his head slowly and said in a deep voice, "This time, I come for revenge, and use your blood to wash away the humiliation I have suffered." But Xia Xingchen's eyebrows suddenly raised. Although the naked eye could not see it, the panoramic picture in his mind clearly showed a figure rushing towards him at high speed. "Xia Xingchen, you can't escape this time. Surrender and follow me to see the Lord God. He will judge you, the evil man, on behalf of justice." A bald man with a golden body flew from the front. It was the universe-level strongman Banton, and his face was full of fanaticism. "You are justice, and I'm evil? Haha, how shameless." Xia Xingchen smiled coldly, and a golden double helix spear condensed in the hands of the Faith Mech, with a thread on the tip of the spear, like a drill. "Still trying to struggle? A mere black hole level is nothing but an ant in front of me. I can crush you to death with just one finger." Banton sneered, waved his right hand, and dozens of golden energy beams suddenly covered the sky and earth, trying to kill Xia Xingchen in one fell swoop. Xia Xingchen's face was indifferent, his eyes focused, and his left hand clenched slightly in the void in front of him. But a golden starry sky barrier appeared out of thin air, and the stars in the barrier flickered, all bursting with golden light, turning into an unshakable golden shield, protecting the whole body of the Faith Mecha. Boom. The golden energy beam hit the shield, causing a violent explosion, and soon completely dissipated. Behind the shield, Xia Xingchen was unharmed, still with a faint smile on his face, looking at Banton with contempt. "Impossible, how is it possible?" Banton's pupils shrank to the size of a needle tip, and his face changed drastically. In Banton's memory, Xia Xingchen was only a black hole level, and in front of him, he was a weak ant that could be crushed to death with a flick of his hand. Banton had always beaten Xia Xingchen so hard that he had no power to fight back and could only run away. In just 100 years, he has grown to this extent? Could he have been promoted to the cosmic level? This is impossible. How could it be so fast? Besides, even if he is cosmic level, he may not be able to withstand my attack. Banton's face was uncertain, and he looked at Xia Xingchen in astonishment. "Banton, you alone are not my opponent. Tell your helpers to stop hiding and come out," Xia Xingchen said. "Were you discovered?" Another cosmic level strongman Shimu had arrived long ago. He was very insidious, and hid in another space, ready to wait for an opportunity to sneak attack Xia Xingchen, but was easily discovered. Chapter 18-17. Defeat them one by one. Shimu, this kid is weird. In just 100 years, his strength has increased to such a terrifying level. I can't capture him alone. Let's attack together. Banton stared at Xia Xingchen and said to the void beside him. "Okay." Shimu's figure slowly appeared from the void. His whole body was burning with golden flames. His body slowly crystallized and became as hard as diamond. As a cosmic level strongman, Shimu was very confident. He suddenly stretched out his right hand, and golden flames spurted out from his palm. It condensed into a flaming hand in the void, and grabbed Xia Xingchen. The golden flames burning on Shimu's body were incredibly hot. As the flames surged, even the space was burned and slightly distorted. It can be seen that it was extremely terrifying. "Banton, Shimu, you two have been chasing me all the way, and I have suffered so much. Today I will definitely take revenge." Xia Xingchen bit his lips, clenched the joystick with his right hand, and pushed it hard. The Faith Mech waved a golden spiral spear in his hand. Every time he waved it, energy fluctuations spread out, causing space distortion. The spear body surged with terrifying energy and stabbed towards the golden flame palm. "You actually want to fight against our eternal gods? What makes you think you can do it?" Shimu showed a look of contempt on his face. His thoughts were the same as Banton's. Even if Xia Xingchen was promoted to the cosmic level in the past 100 years, he was at best the initial stage of the cosmic level. And he has been in the universe for nearly 3,000 years. He is also a leader in the cosmic level, and has rarely met an opponent in the long years. If Xia Xingchen was determined to escape, Banton and Shimu really couldn't do anything to him. Unexpectedly, Xia Xingchen actually wanted to fight head on. This is too naive. Boom. Shimu's face suddenly changed drastically. Xia Xingchen suddenly burst out with boundless and terrifying energy. The power of this energy was so amazing that Shimu felt terrified. Instantly, the giant flaming hand released by Shimu was pierced by the spear and exploded in the air. The power carried by the spear did not weaken, and the spear body whipped him hard. Whoosh! Shimu felt a huge force coming. With a whoosh, his body turned into a stream of light and was whipped and flew backwards. He hit the meteorite in the distance and smashed it to pieces. Banton stood aside and did not react for a while. He stared at Xia Xingchen in a daze. He had been prepared to surround and kill Xia Xingchen with Shimu, but he did not expect that Xia Xingchen's strength was so terrifying that Shimu could not even block a move and was whipped back by the spear. Impossible. Our great eternal god clan, with noble divine blood flowing in their bodies, how could we be defeated by this humble human? Banton's face was extremely pale and his body could not stop shaking. Go head on with the Mecha Master? What's your reason? Xia Xingchen said coldly, the most powerful profession in the universe is not you guys who practice physical cultivation and have strong bodies. It's us Mecha Masters. The perfect combination of technology and mental power, the power that bursts out. How can you compare? Xia Xingchen was not talking nonsense. He got confirmation from Yusulan's hundreds of thousands of years of experience. Mecha Masters are extremely terrifying in the universe. Moreover, the higher the level of Mecha Masters, the stronger their combat power. Even Yusulan, the leader of the 7th Legion of the Fallen, would feel very headache when encountering the top Mecha Masters in the universe. Although the Faith Mecha is the condensation of mental power, its essence is the crystallization of technology. The combination of technology and mental power, two different civilizations, made Xia Xingchen's combat power soar, and he was also a leader in the universe. What's more, Xia Xingchen also has the Source of Faith. This creation level artifact is the core energy of the Faith Mecha. Even the leader of the Eternal God clan, the Eternal God Lord, spent a huge price to snatch a cosmic level artifact. It can be seen that the God Lord does not have a cosmic level artifact. Not to mention Banton and Shimu, who only have realms and are strong, but do not have a decent artifact. The two of them combined are no match for Xia Xingchen. Not good. Xia Xingchen's strength has reached such a terrifying level. Shimu flew back slowly, with blood on the corners of his mouth and his body was severely injured. The energy in his body is completely crushing me. He has just entered the cosmic level. His strength is far beyond ours. No wonder the Lord of Gods attaches so much importance to him, and would rather let the Eternal God clan be infamous than to get rid of him. But the Lord of God's plan has obviously succeeded, and the creation level artifact on him should have lost its effect. Why is it still so strong? Get rid of him here, while his wings are not yet full. If he is allowed to escape again this time, and allowed to grow, I'm afraid the entire God clan will be overthrown by him. Banton felt a strong sense of crisis. He was sure that with Xia Xingchen's terrifying growth rate, even if the Lord God himself took action, he would not be able to do anything to him after a while. Behind Banton and Shimu, a group of black hole level strongmen were watching from afar, not daring to step forward. The battle between the universe level, there was no room for them, the black hole level, to intervene. HMM. Xia Xingchen had the upper hand, but he suddenly discovered something strange. The crystal pyramid floating at the core of the Faith Mecha. As the battle progressed, the light it emitted was getting weaker and weaker. The Source of Faith stores the power of faith, which is an extremely pure spiritual energy. The more power of faith stored, the brighter the light of the Source of Faith. On the contrary, if the power of faith is consumed too much, the light of the Source of Faith will dim. In the trial land, Xia Xingchen found that the charging speed of the Source of Faith was extremely slow. He thought that it was the special space where the trial land was located that affected the energy transmission of the power of faith. But the fact seems not to be the case. Xia Xingchen has returned to the normal universe, but the charging of the Source of Faith is still slow. This was something Xia Xingchen had never encountered before. What on earth happened? Xia Xingchen had an ominous premonition in his heart. However, the remaining energy in the Source of Faith is enough for me to kill Banton and Shimu. But I can't delay any longer. I must fight quickly. Xia Xingchen's mind moved, and his eyes were filled with murderous intent. Kill. Xia Xingchen suddenly concentrated all his energy on the tip of the gun and stabbed at Shimu. Shimu was seriously injured and relatively weak. Xia Xingchen was ready to defeat him one by one. Not good. Shimu only felt his breathing stagnate, and a strong sense of crisis surged in his heart. He no longer had the slightest desire to fight, and turned around to escape. Puff. Shimu's back was pierced by the spiral gun head. He looked down at the gun tip on his chest, which was stained with golden blood, and his face was full of disbelief. Shimu, a cosmic level strongman of the Eternal God clan, fell. Chapter 1818 The Last Human. Shimu is dead. Bantan was terrified when he saw his companion dead. My strength is similar to Shimu's. Shimu is no match for Xia Xingchen, and neither am I. Although I know Xia Xingchen is a big trouble, I can only run away. Bantan's thoughts were like lightning, and he suddenly turned into a stream of light and fled towards the direction of the spaceship. Want to escape? Is it that easy? Xia Xingchen smiled coldly and chased after him in the Faith Mecha. Xia Xingchen, don't be happy too early. Bantan was not panicked and sneered. As long as the Lord God takes action, you will definitely end up like your fellow tribesmen, and I without a burial place. What fellow tribesmen? Xia Xingchen was surprised. You don't know yet? Bantan showed a ferocious smile on his face. No wonder you can practice peacefully in the trial ground for 100 years, like a turtle, without even showing your head. Hahaha, I'm kindly telling you that during the 100 years you practiced, the Lord God led the army of the eternal gods, crossed the barrier of the Milky Way, and exterminated the human race. Humans are really weak. Apart from you, there were only 2 celestial beings, and they were all crushed to death by the Lord God like ants. The eternal gods attacked the Milky Way. Xia Xingchen was stunned, his eyes widened, and his face was full of disbelief. Impossible. I'm now a celestial being and a member of the Spacetime Academy. I have submitted an application for companion clan protection to the Celestial Committee. What right do you eternal gods have to attack the Milky Way? Don't you take the laws of the celestial realm seriously? Xia Xingchen took a deep breath and calmed his mind. The laws of the celestial realm? The Celestial Committee? Ordinary races in the universe would care, but would our eternal gods, one of the top 10 races, care? Bantan sneered. I don't believe it. In just 100 years, humans have perished. I don't believe it. Xia Xingchen knew that the eternal gods would not care about the ban of the heavenly realm, but Bantan's words were too shocking. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he would never believe it. 100 years. You underestimate us, the eternal gods. It only took us 10 days to kill all of you humans in the entire Milky Way. By the way, do you want to know the names of those 2 human celestial beings? They seemed to have a good relationship with you. Before they died, they were still struggling to hold on, calling your name, hoping that you could go back and save humanity. Hahaha, how could they know that you, a coward, watched your race being exterminated, but you have been hiding in this place? Bantan sneered, and he could not feel any guilt from his words. In Bantan's view, the eternal gods exterminating humans was like destroying an ant nest. What are their names? Xia Xingchen's throat was dry and his voice was trembling. One is called Roger and the other is called Michael. What? Do you really know them? Bantan said. Master. Senior Michael. Xia Xingchen's eyes went dark, and he felt dizzy. Bantam could actually say the names of Master Roger and the Angel of Light Michael. In other words, what he said was very likely true. The eternal Protoss really attacked the Milky Way. They wiped out the entire human race. Arjana, her father, and everyone else really dead. Xia Xingchen's mind went blank, and he stared blankly at the starry sky, tears pouring out uncontrollably, and he had no intention of continuing to chase. Xia Xingchen, goodbye. The next time we meet, it will be the day you die. Bantam laughed, returned to the spacecraft, and immediately started the engine, leaving Xia Xingchen's pursuit range. Humanity. Has it really been destroyed? Everyone. Xia Xingchen held the source of faith in both hands, and its light became weaker and weaker, like a candle in the wind that was almost extinguished. If the entire human race had not been exterminated, and no one had provided Xia Xingchen with the power of faith, how could the light of the source of faith be so weak? Impossible. This Bantan is extremely cunning. He must have made up a lie to deceive me, and took the opportunity to escape. I don't believe it. Unless I see it with my own eyes, I will never believe it. Xia Xingchen wiped away the tears on his face, and his eyes gradually became firm. Whoosh! The faith mech turned into a golden light, and flew away from the misty sea. At Xia Xingchen's current speed, it only took 2 hours to pass through the mist area and leave the misty sea. You lied to me. Banton must have lied to me. Xia Xingchen couldn't wait to return to the Milky Way and expose Banton's lies with facts. Yes, Jaina is still waiting for me. And my father, Master, Senior Michael, my friends, partners, and my apprentice Carissa, they must be safe. In Xia Xingchen's mind, the scene of everyone welcoming him emerged, and a smile appeared on his face. Just as Xia Xingchen flew away from the misty sea, a figure quietly appeared in the cockpit and stood in front of him. Teacher Bahuang? Xia Xingchen was startled and only calmed down a little when he recognized Bahuang. Bahuang is the supervisor, responsible for observing the entire universe. If he wants, no corner of the universe can escape his eyes. Of course, the top secret realm of the universe, the Sea of Mist, is an exception. Even Bahuang cannot observe what happens in the Sea of Mist. But as soon as Xia Xingchen left the Sea of Mist, Bahuang captured his mental fluctuations, rushed over it the first time, and appeared directly in front of Xia Xingchen. Xingchen, follow me, I have something to tell you. Bahuang stepped forward and grabbed Xia Xingchen's wrist, directly tore through the space, and stepped to the top of the green mountain. In the sky, the clouds rolled, and the clouds spread. The green mountains are like walls, and a waterfall roars not far away. The scenery here is no different from 100 years ago. The only difference is Bahuang's expression. Bahuang usually has a calm expression, sitting on the top of the mountain and watching the changing wind and clouds with a smile. But at this time, Bahuang's expression was extremely solemn, and his face was so gloomy that it almost dripped water. Teacher, why are you looking for me so anxiously? Xia Xingchen's heart skipped a beat. It just so happens that I have something to talk to you about. I have passed the intermediate trial of Yusulan and have been promoted to the cosmic level. However, when I left the trial site, I met several eternal gods who stayed behind. I killed one, and the other one actually said that the humans in the Milky Way were exterminated by the eternal gods. Teacher, do you think his words are ridiculous? Xingchen. Bahuang was silent for a long time before he slowly spoke with endless apology on his face, saying bitterly, he didn't lie to you. There are only you and me left in the universe. I can't actually be considered a human being. So, you are the last human being. But, Xia Xingchen's brain roared, and he felt dizzy. His legs softened, and he knelt on the ground with his knees, unable to stand up. These words coming from Bahuang's mouth were completely different from those coming from Banton's mouth. Xia Xingchen didn't want to believe it at first, but he had to believe it. Humanity is really extinct? Am I the last human? Xia Xingchen murmured over and over again, tears streaming down his cheeks uncontrollably. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 18-19. Another bad news. The wind on the top of the green mountain was as cool as usual. But when the wind blew on Xia Xingchen's body, he felt a bone-chilling cold. Teacher, please tell me, this is not true. None of this is true. Xia Xingchen hugged his head tightly and cried bitterly. 100 years of dreams, 10,000 years of tempering the heart. Xia Xingchen thought that his state of mind was already extremely strong, and he could remain calm, even if Mount Tay collapsed in front of him. But the bad news of the extinction of mankind was like a sharp blade inserted into Xia Xingchen's self-proclaimed strong heart, and instantly pierced his heart into thousands of holes. Xia Xingchen realized at this moment how weak he was compared to Yusulan. Facing the same genocide, even his family members died tragically in front of him. Such a heavy blow did not defeat Yusulan. It just made the anger in his heart more turbulent. This blood feud turned into endless fuel, turning Yusulan into a tireless revenge machine, constantly getting stronger, getting stronger, getting stronger, until I step on the peak of the universe and trample all the enemies under my feet, until the stars surrender. But Xia Xingchen felt that with the extinction of mankind, everything he had done had lost its meaning. No matter how powerful he became, there would be no friends cheering on him. No matter how powerful he was, he could not get a smile from Jaina, even if he stood on the top of the universe and looked down on all living things. For a moment, Xia Xingchen's world became extremely dark and lost its original color. His heart was like a bonfire that had burned out. The flames gradually extinguished, leaving only cold ashes. Xingchen, I know you feel bad and don't want to accept reality, but this is reality, a bloody reality. It is extremely cruel, but you can only face it. The teacher once had a similar experience to you. Alas, it is unbearable to look back and remember the painful experience for a lifetime. Bahuang shook his head, his face full of bitterness. He knew deeply that these words of comfort were of no use to Xia Xingchen. Face it? How to face it? Back then, the ancient humans were exterminated by the eternal gods, and Bahuang had thought of death. If he was not the supervisor, and his life was not in his own hands, he might not be able to bear the sadness and end his life. No matter how strong he looks, he is a sentimental man after all. He values his family, wife, and friends very much. Moreover, Xingchen can come this far, not because he is so strong, but there are countless people behind him supporting him, so he can come this far. Carrying the fate of everyone, even the entire human race, this burden is very heavy, making Xingchen breathless, and he always wants to be relieved. But in fact, he actually enjoys this feeling in his heart. He seems to live for himself, and keeps working hard, but in fact, he is working hard for the fate of the entire human race. He is the real hero. Bahuang looked at Xia Xingchen, who was curled up in pain, and slowly stretched out his right hand, trying to grab his shoulder, but in the end his palm condensed in midair, and finally slowly retracted. Xingchen, I'm sorry. No one can help you. The extinction of mankind is a fact. You can only get out of it with your own strength. Teacher believes in you. Bahuang whispered. Where is Teacher Carlos? Isn't he with you? Xia Xingchen suddenly raised his head and asked. Xingchen, teacher, I'm sorry for you. Bahuang's eyes dimmed, and he turned around, not daring to look into Xia Xingchen's eyes again. Teacher, please tell me, where is Carlos? Xia Xingchen pulled Bahuang's sleeve and asked. Xingchen, Carlos is dead too. Bahuang turned his back to Xia Xingchen, shook his head slowly, and said in a very low voice, Carlos is a mechanical race, but he is different from ordinary mechanical races. He is not cold and ruthless. On the contrary, he has rich emotions, even richer than ordinary human life forms. His two favorite emotions are love and friendship. I have been in contact with Carlos for a while, and I admire him very much. I even thought about making an exception and accepting him as a disciple. Teacher, what happened later? Xia Xingchen's heart was broken, and his eyes were red. Later, the eternal Protoss began to invade the Milky Way. After Carlos learned the news, he contacted you first. He did not wait for your news and exposed the evil deeds of the eternal Protoss on the Universal Civilization website, which aroused the collective condemnation of many peace-loving races, hoping to use public opinion pressure to stop the invasion of the eternal Protoss. However, the eternal Protoss had already prepared. They bribed the top management of the Universal Company, blocked all of Colossus IDs on the Universal Civilization website, and deleted all the comments that were unfavorable to the Eternal Protoss. Bahuang said slowly. Darkness. Too dark. I didn't expect that the self-proclaimed civilized world of heaven and man is so dark. Xia Xingchen clenched his fist tightly, and his nails pierced deeply into the palm of his hand, sending waves of piercing pain. The color of the universe has always been darker than light. Bahuang whispered. After Carlos failed to guide public opinion, he said goodbye to me and went to the Milky Way alone. However, he was ambushed by the eternal gods on the way, and his consciousness was completely destroyed, and his body and soul were annihilated. Teacher, why didn't you stop him? Why? Xia Xingchen almost completely lost his mind when he heard this bad news. He screamed at Bahuang. His face was extremely hideous because of pain. Xingchen, you are Carlos's best friend. You should understand his character. If it were you, could you persuade Carlos? Bahuang whispered. For a moment, Xia Xingchen fell into a deep silence. He knew that Carlos was very stubborn in his bones. Carlos's body is a program composed of zeros and ones. Right is right, wrong is wrong. There is never a middle option. Once Carlos decides on something, he will definitely do it, and no one can change it. Everything Carlos did, including his death for himself, was voluntary. Carlos, Xia Xingchen's lips trembled, and he couldn't say a word for a long time. His relatives died, his wife died, his friends died, and even his own race was destroyed. In the end, even Xia Xingchen's only good friend died because of him. Xia Xingchen was in great pain, curled up into a ball, and fainted. Bahuang sighed long, knowing that this was the self-defense in Xia Xingchen's brain that was activated, causing him to fall into a short coma. Xia Xingchen was too sad, too painful, and his emotions were too strong. If this continued, he would probably have a mental breakdown and become a madman. But Bahuang shook his head. He didn't even have time to tell Xia Xingchen a piece of bad news. He didn't know if he could survive if he told Xia Xingchen the last piece of bad news. Supervisor. Supervisor. A supervisor who can only watch and cannot interfere. I have never hated myself so much and hated the identity of a supervisor. Bahuang suddenly punched the pillar of the pavilion. Boom. This pavilion, which had provided shelter from wind and rain for tens of thousands of years, was shattered in an instant and turned into ashes that drifted away with the mountain wind. Chapter 1820 The Day of Human Destruction. After sleeping for an unknown period of time, Xia Xingchen finally woke up. At this moment, he was lying on a simple bed in a thatched cottage, with his eyes wide open, motionless. Just now, Xia Xingchen had a dream. He dreamed that he returned to the Milky Way, returned to Shinyuan Star, and met Jaina and his father. And Xia Xingchen's friends. They were all alive. Everyone was very happy, welcoming Xia Xingchen, drinking and chatting at the banquet, and listening to Xia Xingchen talk about interesting things in the heavenly world. The dream was beautiful, but dreams always have to wake up. After waking up from the dream, Xia Xingchen had to face the cruel reality again, and his body and mind fell into the boundless black abyss of stars. Revenge. I want revenge. Everyone is dead. The only purpose of my life is revenge. Xia Xingchen sat up slowly, his expression numb, and the flame of hatred burned in the depths of his pupils. Hatred, although it can bring pain, can also bring endless power. Falling into hatred, the final result is to burn the enemy, and oneself will be engulfed by the flame of revenge, burning both the enemy and oneself. However, Xia Xingchen didn't care at all. I have lost everything. I only have this life left. Jaina, everyone. When I destroy the Eternal God clan, I will go to accompany you. Xia Xingchen's eyes were filled with tears. Xingchen, you are awake. Bahuang pushed open the door and walked slowly into the hut. This hut was where Bahuang usually rested. He had never let anyone come here before. Xia Xingchen was the first person to step into his hut. Teacher. Xia Xingchen turned over and got out of bed and knelt in front of Bahuang with a plop. Xingchen, what are you doing? Bahuang was startled, raised his right hand slightly, and a force lifted Xia Xingchen up. Teacher, I want to see the scene when Jaina and my father died, as well as Carlos, and the destruction of mankind. Xia Xingchen whispered. What's the point of seeing it when everyone is dead? Bahuang whispered. To remember. I will engrave the hatred in my heart. Even if it takes 1 million years, 2 million years. Even until the end of time, I will not forget it. I will remember this hatred, and make the eternal gods pay with blood. Xia Xingchen's eyes were bloodshot, like a bloodthirsty beast. Hatred. You have been completely devoured by hatred. For revenge, you will do anything. As a teacher, I have to remind you that this is not a good thing. The end of any avenger is extremely miserable. Bahuang shook his head and said, but this is the only meaning of my life. Xia Xingchen kowtowed and put his forehead on the ground. Please show me, teacher. I can bear it. Well, you have the power. Bahuang waved his hand, and scenes appeared in front of Xia Xingchen, but he turned his back, unable to bear to watch the cruel scenes on the screen. Huge golden warships sailed into the Milky Way. On the warships, the celestial and powerful people of the eternal gods all had relaxed expressions on their faces, chatting and laughing with each other, and gently pressed the red launch button, and a human planet turned into ashes in the artillery fire. This planet was once visited by Xia Xingchen and Jaina when they were traveling in the starry sky. It was called Xia Xingchen. It was a famous tourist planet with picturesque scenery and 6 billion humans living on it. In the blink of an eye, 6 billion lives died. The celestial beings of the eternal protest did not even have a ferocious look on their faces, as if they were on a picnic. A huge fleet of warships flew to the next planet. Only then did Xia Xingchen understand what true cruelty was. Killing lives for fun was not cruel enough. Killing billions of lives with a wave of his hand, but with such an indifferent expression, he had long been accustomed to it. It is conceivable that humans are not the first race to perish at the hands of the eternal Protoss, and they are definitely not the last. The Galactic Empire reacted quickly. After discovering the invasion of the eternal Protoss, the Empire immediately responded and first sent an envoy to negotiate with the eternal Protoss. However, this envoy carrying a heavy gift was riding a single-person spaceship, constantly sending signals representing peace and friendship, but before he saw the fleet of the eternal Protoss, he was blasted into pieces by a beam of light cannon. At this time, humans realized that the enemy did not come to conquer. They came to destroy. Only for destruction. After 100 years of development, the Galactic Empire, under the leadership of the Empress Xia, has developed at a very fast speed. There have been great progress in all fields, and the size of the Empire's army has also been further expanded. Xia did not forget Xia Xingchen's instructions when he left. Our war with the North has just ended, but the war of mankind has just begun. The size of the Imperial army has reached an unprecedented level, and the number of spaceships and mechas is 20 times that of the Civil War. What shocked economists is that with the economic strength of the Empire, it should not be able to afford such a large fleet. However, the Empress Xia has shown amazing talent in economics. The Empire spends a lot of military expenses and scientific research and education expenses every year, and there is still a surplus. In short, this is the most powerful era of the Galactic Empire. It is also the most powerful era of mankind. However, no matter how powerful the ant is, it is not the opponent of the lion. Facing the unprecedentedly powerful Galactic Empire fleet, the Eternal Protoss only sent 100 people. 100 small mixed armies of galaxy level and black hole level. The Eternal Protoss even disdains to let any cosmic level strongman fight. The final result. The Imperial army was completely destroyed. Among the 100 Eternal Gods, only one was slightly injured. And he was accidentally injured by his companions. Then, the warships of the Eternal Gods marched straight in, aiming at Xia and Star. Xia led the remaining soldiers of the Empire, and fought in person. At the same time, the two Celestial Star Pirate Kings Roger and the Angel of Light Michael, who were the only ones in the human race, also arrived in time to fight with the Imperial army. The result was despairing. The Queen Xia died in the battle. Roger died in the battle. Michael died in the battle. Xia and Star was hit by the Star Destroyer and turned into cosmic dust. Then Chang'an Star, Luban Star, and Lingji Star. The war burned all the way to Xia Xingchen's hometown Mana Star, and there was still no sign of stopping. After destroying the main force of the Empire, the Eternal Gods began to divide their forces. A Celestial driving a small warship could destroy one planet after another. All the resistance of mankind was useless in front of the powerful Eternal Gods. North to Siberia Star. South to Antarctica Star. West to Chang'an Star. East to Penglay Star. All planets inhabited by humans were destroyed by the Eternal Gods. The purpose of the Eternal Gods was clear. To exterminate the entire human race within the Milky Way, killing all men, women, old people and children, leaving no one alive. The last battle of mankind took place on Earth. This is the origin of mankind, and also the place of destruction. Facing a common enemy, religious sects on Earth put aside tens of thousands of years of disputes and stood on the same front. The afterglow of the setting sun fell on the faces of the believers. They sang hymns together, drove backward in broken mechas, and rushed towards the invincible battleships of the Eternal Gods. This tragic scene was deeply imprinted in Xia Xingchen's mind, and he would remember it firmly until the day the universe was destroyed. Chapter 1821, Despair Abyss. The Earth was destroyed, and the Eternals turned on high-tech detectors to search for traces of humans in the Milky Way, hunting them as if they were wild beasts. The Eternals even captured humans alive for human experiments and used their super technology to develop a deadly virus targeting human genes. This virus is highly contagious and can be transmitted through air, water, contact, and blood. What's more terrifying is that the Eternals can even control the time of the virus outbreak. On a planet, as long as there is one person carrying the virus, all the humans on the planet will die at a specific time. It took the Eternals less than a month to destroy the Galactic Empire. It took the Eternals 30 years to destroy all humans. In desperation, humans burst out with amazing resilience and drove spacecraft to escape to a desolate planet in the border area of the Milky Way. Some even fled to the infinite star abyss, struggling to survive in the endless void, hoping to continue the human race. The Eternals are really too powerful. Whether in technology or military, they are far superior to humans. In just 30 years, the Eternals hunted down all the humans in the entire Milky Way. Maybe in the desolate areas of some remote planets, there are still human remnants. However, in such a harsh environment, if no one deliberately guides them, it is impossible to develop civilization. As time goes by, those humans will forget that they once had a brilliant civilization. Their genes will gradually deteriorate and finally degenerate into primitive tribes. Eternal God Clan. Xia Xingchen almost bit his teeth to pieces. His eyes were red, and the flames of hatred burned in the depths of his pupils. Revenge. I want revenge. I want to make the entire Eternal God Clan disappear into thin air. Xia Xingchen clenched his fists tightly, and blood slowly flowed out from between his fingers and ripped onto the ground. Teacher, I want revenge. Please help me. What should I do next? I'm already at the cosmic level. How can I get revenge? Xia Xingchen knelt in front of Bahuang and kowtowed. Xingchen. Bahuang was hesitant to speak. After a long silence, he slowly opened his mouth and said, "You want revenge and want to destroy the eternal gods. This can only be done if you surpass the cosmic level and become a cosmic god. But even for a cosmic god, it is too difficult to destroy the eternal gods, one of the 10 top races. The best way is for you to pass the assessment of the fallen angels and use the power of the fallen angels to get revenge." But, the fallen angels. Xia Xingchen gritted his teeth, his face slightly ferocious. Since becoming a fallen angel can lead to revenge, I will work hard to become a fallen angel as soon as possible. Xingchen, you still don't understand. You can't do anything now. Bahuang sighed. Have you ever thought about why the eternal gods would risk the world's condemnation and still want to destroy all mankind? Is it because the eternal gods are bloodthirsty and murderous? No. They are doing this to deal with you. Deal with me? Xia Xingchen was stunned. It's to deal with you. The source of your faith has been exposed. The eternal gods have planned again and again to snatch the source of your faith, but they have never succeeded. One reason is that your growth rate has exceeded their imagination. The other reason is that the source of faith has bestowed the luck of the entire human race on you. Only then can you overcome danger and difficulties time and time again. Luck. Xia Xingchen was stunned. He didn't believe in something as mysterious as luck. He only believed in science and data. Yes, it's luck. To put it in a more scientific way, it's the collective consciousness of mankind. This huge consciousness protects you in the dark. When you are in danger, you often have a premonition. When you encounter a difficult problem that you can't choose, you can often make the right choice. On the one hand, this is your own ability, your sixth sense. On the other hand, it is the collective consciousness of mankind that is guiding you. Bahuang said, if it was someone else, even a cosmic level powerhouse, they would have been killed by the eternal gods. But you can survive. Teacher, I still don't quite understand the luck you are talking about. But, I know that I can get to where I'm today, all thanks to all humans who continuously supply me with the power of faith. The eternal gods destroyed humans and cut off the source of my power of faith. From then on, I became a tree without roots, and it is extremely difficult to improve my realm again. Xia Xingchen nodded. Yes, your qualifications are very ordinary. Without the source of faith, you can't become a fallen angel. Even if you want to stabilize at the cosmic level, it is almost impossible. This move of the eternal gods is extremely vicious, cutting off the firewood from the bottom of the pot and eliminating future troubles forever. Bahuang sighed. Teacher, if I lose the source of faith, I can find it again. My power of faith does not come entirely from humans. There are also the Fiery Sun clan and several other small races. Xia Xingchen thought for a while and said, if you don't have the eternal gods as an enemy, I believe you will find a new source of faith sooner or later. But will the eternal gods give you this opportunity? Once you leave the Space-Time Academy, they will send people to rob and kill you. Your current strength is less than 1% of what it used to be, and you will definitely not be able to escape. Bahuang said sadly. Hearing Bahuang's words, Xia Xingchen also felt extremely desperate. The Eternal God clan was too cruel and blocked all of Xia Xingchen's retreats. Xia Xingchen can only hide in the Academy of Spacetime now. The power of faith cannot be replenished, and his realm quickly falls, slowly waiting to die. Despair. Xia Xingchen fell into boundless despair and felt that the world was pitch black. Even Bahuang kept shaking his head and sighing beside him. With his knowledge as a supervisor, he couldn't think of a way to break the deadlock. It's so painful and desperate, it's better to die. Xia Xingchen couldn't help but think of suicide. Xia Xingchen never gave up easily. No matter how big the difficulties were, he would face them with a smile. However, the predicament Xia Xingchen encountered this time was really too difficult. As strong as he was powerless. All this is my fault. If I hadn't slept for 100 years, even if the Eternal God clan attacked the Milky Way, things would have turned around. But, if I didn't sleep for 100 years, how could I leave the trial ground? If I could do it again. A very unrealistic idea appeared in Xia Xingchen's mind. But, suddenly, a colorful light flew out from Xia Xingchen's chest, and the colorful prism floated in front of him. This is the cosmic artifact 7-colored prism found by Colossus in the Misty Sea. After Xia Xingchen got this artifact, he has been unable to understand its use. He only learned from Captain Manla that it contains pure time energy. Xia Xingchen originally planned to show this cosmic artifact to Bahuang when he returned to the Space-Time Academy. With his erudition, he should know the origin of this artifact. However, as soon as Xia Xingchen returned to the academy, he was waiting for one bad news after another, and naturally forgot about the colorful prism. What Xia Xingchen didn't expect was that the colorful prism suddenly flew out at this time, emitting light, as if it was accidentally activated. Chapter 18:20 to Time Travel. Such a pure power of time. Xingchen, what kind of treasure is that? Even Bahuang was shocked and surprised. This is... Xia Xingchen didn't have time to answer. The colorful prism suddenly shattered, bursting out a colorful light that wrapped his body. But, Xia Xingchen's eyes went dark, and his consciousness seemed to be pulled out of his body and entered a dark tunnel. Xingchen. Bahuang rushed over and hugged Xia Xingchen's body, but found that his consciousness had dissipated, leaving only a cold shell. Xia Xingchen suddenly opened his eyes and found himself sitting cross-legged on the golden platform of the Misty Sea trial ground, holding the colorful prism in his hands. What's going on? I was clearly in the Space-Time Academy. Why did I suddenly return to the Misty Sea? Xia Xingchen looked confused. He looked down at the colorful prism and found that the energy of this cosmic artifact was completely exhausted and turned into white powder. Xingchen, have you thought about it? Do you want to use the dreaming instrument? Captain Manla flew over slowly and said in a deep voice. Use the dream machine. Xia Xingchen was completely stunned. Didn't I use it before? Why did I use it again? What nonsense are you talking about? Captain Manla looked at Xia Xingchen with a strange look. A few days ago, I took you to see the dream machine. You said you couldn't make up your mind and wanted to come back to think about it. When did you use it? How come I didn't know? A few days ago. Xia Xingchen was completely stunned. Why is the energy in my body still at the black hole level? I finally got promoted to the cosmic level. And my faith mecha is still at the black hole level. It hasn't been condensed again. Xia Xingchen used the omniscience field to explore his body and immediately found something abnormal. Xingchen. Could it be? Captain Manla stared at Xia Xingchen as if he had guessed something. Captain, what time is it now? The exact time of the cosmic calendar. Xia Xingchen asked hurriedly. 5567 cosmic calendar. Captain Manla said slowly. Sure enough. I traveled through time and space and returned to 100 years ago. At this time, I should still be trying to understand the use of the 7-colored prism, but I got nothing. Xia Xingchen jumped up with joy, and his eyes were filled with tears. Great. It's really great. I really went back to 100 years ago. At this point in time, mankind has not yet perished. It's not too late. Everything is still in time. Xingchen, don't be too excited. Captain Manla stretched out his hand to hold Xia Xingchen's shoulders, asked him to sit cross-legged, and said seriously, although I don't know what happened to you, something big must have happened. Time travel is not uncommon for the universe level. However, the greater possibility is that you were unstable in your state of mind when you were meditating, and you were obsessed and had hallucinations. Tell me what happened, and I will help you. Thank you, Captain. Xia Xingchen was actually confused. He also suspected that he had hallucinations while meditating, and had a long and miserable nightmare. However, everything in the dream was so real, from Yusuran's experience of hundreds of thousands of years, to his defeat of the incarnation of the evil god, and leaving the trial land, to killing the eternal god Shamu, and returning to the Spacetime Academy with his teacher. He learned the truth about the extermination of mankind. In particular, the heroic scene of the last battle of mankind on Earth was deeply ingrained in his mind. Xia Xingchen knew that what he saw was definitely not an illusion, but a real future. Manla was willing to help him discuss it. Maybe he could help him answer some questions. Xia Xingchen took a deep breath, calmed his ecstatic mood, and told Manla what would happen in the future. No need to say more. Captain Manla stood up, after listening for a while, took a deep breath, and could not hide the shock on his face. What you just told about Lord Yusulan's experience is exactly the same as what I know. Except for the dream machine, you absolutely could not know it from other channels. So, I believe you went back in time, and came back from 100 years later. And the key to your return is the cosmic artifact, the 7-colored prism. I can feel the time energy from it, but I didn't expect that it really has the ability to travel through time. After all, that artifact was left by Lord Yusulan, and it is not surprising that it can travel through time. Captain, I already have some understanding of the mysteries of space, but to time, I'm still ambiguous. Xia Xingchen said. It's the same for me. Captain Manla smiled bitterly and shook his head. If you comprehend the secrets of space, you can enter the cosmic level. But if you comprehend the secrets of time, you can surpass the cosmic level. I haven't surpassed the cosmic level yet. Therefore, it's useless for you to ask me. I heard you say that your teacher Bahuang is the supervisor. He is an existence that transcends the cosmic level. I believe he will help you answer these questions. Xia Xingchen nodded. Since he had the memory of the next 100 years, he didn't need to enter the dream instrument to waste this precious 100 years. At this moment, Xia Xingchen's state of mind was enough to enter the cosmic level. Moreover, under the great grief of learning that mankind was extinct, his heart was burned with anger, and suddenly time went back to 100 years ago, and he was extremely happy. The great grief and great joy intertwined with each other, which further improved Xia Xingchen's state of mind, almost reaching the state of great enlightenment in Buddhism. This time, Xia Xingchen retreated for only 3 days, and he was familiar with the road. He easily broke through to the cosmic level and recondensed the faith mecha. Except for Captain Manla who knew the truth, the other guardians were all stunned to see Xia Xingchen break through to the cosmic level in just a few days. They had never seen anyone with such a terrifying cultivation speed. This can no longer be described as a genius, it is simply a monster. A monster that only appears once in a million years. Xia Xingchen did not explain, and immediately applied to Captain Manla to enter the temple and fight with the incarnation of the evil god. This time, the power of faith in the source of faith was abundant, and Xia Xingchen killed the incarnation of the evil god in one move, and passed the trial. The guardians were even more surprised. After Xia Xingchen passed the intermediate trial, he left the trial site, and returned to the original universe. Xia Xingchen had long known that Shamu and Bantan were guarding him outside. This time, Xia Xingchen did not give Bantan a chance to escape, and the Faith Mecha flew invisible to the outside of the Eternal Protus spaceship. Eternal Protus, I want you to pay for your blood debt with blood. Xia Xingchen shouted, and the faith mecha waved the spear and pierced the engine of the spaceship. Boom. Shimu and Bantan were swallowed by the surging energy before they knew what was happening. These two cosmic level powerhouses of the Eternal God clan didn't even have time to send out a distress signal before they died. Chapter 1823 Changing the Future. Xia Xingchen easily killed two cosmic level masters. On the one hand, Xia Xingchen came prepared and hid outside the spaceship. The sudden attack left Shimu and Bantan no time to react. On the other hand, the energy in the source of faith was abundant, and the combat effectiveness of the faith mecha was completely different from the energy deficient state 100 years later. The eternal protest is nothing more than that. Xia Xingchen snorted coldly and vented his anger, but his hatred for the eternal protest did not diminish. Xia Xingchen went back to 100 years ago. Humanity has not been destroyed by the eternal protest at this moment. However, if he does not act in time, the cruel future will still happen. He knew very well that it was not an easy thing to change the future. Go ask the teacher first. Xia Xingchen left the Misty Sea, suppressed his longing for his hometown, and chose to return to the Spacetime Academy first. Whoosh! The faith mecha turned into a golden stream of light, tearing a crack in the space, and appeared on the top of the Green Mountain the next moment. This is super time and space teleportation. The mystery of space that can only be mastered by the cosmic level. Using hyperspace movement consumes a lot of energy. But no matter how long the distance is, even if it is a million light years, as long as you have the accurate coordinates, you can cross it instantly. Teacher. Xia Xingchen appeared on the top of the Green Mountain and saw that the pavilion that was smashed by Bahuang was still there. Bahuang was sitting in the pavilion wearing a robe, drinking and talking with someone. From time to time, there was laughter and they were having a good time. When Xia Xingchen saw the familiar figure sitting opposite Bahuang, his eyes suddenly became wet, and he whispered softly, Carlos. Carlos. Xia Xingchen shouted the name of his best friend, flew into the pavilion from the sky, and hugged him. Xingchen, why are you back? Why are you so excited? Carlos looked confused. Xingchen, you. Bahuang stood aside, frowning slightly. He felt a trace of unusual time energy from Xia Xingchen. Carlos, thank you. Really thank you. Xia Xingchen experienced great joy and great sorrow, and his state of mind almost reached the state of great enlightenment. But the moment he saw his best friend, his suppressed emotions burst out completely. If Carlos had not desperately entered the Mist Sea and found the universe level artifact 7-colored prism with the ability to travel through time, Xia Xingchen would have fallen into the abyss of despair at this moment and might have committed suicide. It can be said that Carlos gave Xia Xingchen a second life. How could Xia Xingchen not be grateful? Xingchen, you. Bahuang's face changed slightly, and he said in surprise, universe level, you have broken through to the universe level? How could it be so fast? Universe level. I haven't seen you for a few days, and you have been promoted to the universe level. Carlos was also shocked and looked at Xia Xingchen. Teacher, in fact, it took me 100 years to become a universe level. Xia Xingchen took a deep breath, sat on the stone bench, and told Bahuang about his experience of traveling through time and space. Bahuang listened quietly, his face was normal, and he was calm. Carlos was surprised and tried hard not to say anything. When he heard that the Eternals invaded the Milky Way and destroyed humanity, and he went to rescue them, and died in the starry sky, he couldn't help but stand up. Xingchen, so you came back from 100 years later. Incredible. It's really incredible. After hearing this, Carlos was amazed at Xia Xingchen's experience and exclaimed, however, if the future is really as you said, and humanity is exterminated, then this future is really too tragic and dark. Carlos couldn't help but sigh after being amazed. Xingchen, you must have a lot of questions, and I will help you answer them one by one. Bahuang nodded and said in a deep voice, thank you, teacher. Xia Xingchen bowed in gratitude and asked the question he was most worried about, teacher, did I really travel through time and go back to 100 years ago? Xingchen, you suspect that what you are experiencing now, or 100 years from now, is an illusion, right? Bahuang smiled slightly and said, I can tell you clearly that these are all real, not illusions. Your consciousness did travel through time and went back to 100 years ago. After all, Yusulan is the commander of the 7th Legion of the Fallen Angels, and he himself possesses the ability to travel through time and space. It is not surprising that the treasures he left behind have the ability to travel through time. Great. I knew it was real. Xia Xingchen clenched his fists tightly. Then the second question, can I change the future? Bahuang shook his head. That depends on the choice you make. Everything in the universe has inertia. The same is true for time. In just 100 years, there are too few things that can be changed. For example, now, the Eternal Protoss should have begun preparing plans to invade the Milky Way. If the Eternal Protoss began to invade now, would you be able to stop it? Xia Xingchen shook his head and said, of course not. Bahuang nodded gently and said, but you don't need to worry. I believe that there is a will of heaven. Since your consciousness can go back to 100 years ago, then this experience has special significance. Teacher, I don't understand. Xia Xingchen frowned and said, the existence of supervisors is to prevent the disorder of time and space. For example, those deserters of the fallen angels, they escape from the future to the past, and their actions may change the future. This is expressly prohibited by the Academy of Space-Time. But teacher, why do you condone my behavior of changing the future? Is it because of our master-disciple relationship? Xingchen, you only know one thing, and not the other. Who says the future cannot be changed? If the future really cannot be changed, why did the old man of spacetime and the other 6 powerful beings work so hard to travel through time and space, return to the beginning of the universe, establish a holy land, and train and select fallen angel warriors? Their purpose is actually the same as yours, to change the tragic and desperate future. Bahuang explained, the supervisors captured the fallen deserters to prevent their actions from destroying the plan that the old man of time and space worked so hard to make. You know the butterfly effect. Even if there is a slight fluctuation in the past history, it will be infinitely magnified in the future and become an irreparable mistake. Of course, they are fallen and have already known the plan of the old man of time and space. And you, and many other life forms who have intentionally or unintentionally acquired the ability to travel through time, are not fallen, and have not participated in the final battle. You have not jumped out of the long river of time, but are still drops of water in the long river of time. Whether you are upstream or downstream, you are history itself. Bahuang's words were mysterious and Xia Xingchen heard them ambiguously. But from Bahuang's words, Xia Xingchen captured an important message. The future can be changed, and since he is not a fallen, if he makes a move to change the future, the Academy of Time and Space and other holy places will not interfere. Teacher, thank you for your answer. There is only one last question left. Xia Xingchen licked his lips and asked, how can I change the future? Chapter 1824, a strategy to break the situation. After traveling back 100 years, Xia Xingchen thought about this problem seriously. The Eternal Protoss invasion of the Milky Way was almost a foregone conclusion. Once the invasion began, the only fate of mankind would be destruction, without exception. For a moment, Xia Xingchen could not think of a way to break the impasse. That's not easy to do. Carlos suggested, Xingchen, with your current strength, you can kill the cosmic level powerhouses of the Eternal Protoss. Just like we sneaked into the Northern Empire, you can make a big fuss, assassinate the powerhouses of the Eternal Protoss, and weaken their strength as much as possible, so that the Eternal Protoss will be too busy to take care of themselves, and won't have time to invade the Milky Way. Carlos, I have also thought about your suggestion. Xia Xingchen said seriously, I can assassinate the powerhouses of the Eternal Protoss. But who can guarantee that the Eternal Protoss will not be furious, start the plan in advance, and directly invade the Milky Way? The energy of the 7-colored prism is exhausted, and has collapsed and disappeared. I only have one chance to travel through time. I have to grasp it well, and think of a foolproof plan. I can't gamble, because once I lose the bet, the entire human race will be doomed. This. Carlos fell into silence. After his calculations, the Eternal Protoss is indeed likely to be enraged and do irrational behavior. More importantly, no matter how many powerhouses of the Eternal Protoss Xia Xingchen assassinates, it is only a temporary solution. How many people are there in the Eternal Protoss? How many cosmic level masters are there? It is unknown. It is impossible for Xia Xingchen to destroy the entire Eternal God clan with his own strength. In the final analysis, my strength is too weak. If I surpass the cosmic level and become a cosmic god, I will directly destroy several planets of the Eternal God clan and threaten them to give up their plan to invade the Milky Way. Xia Xingchen clenched his hands tightly and whispered, "Cosmic God." Bahuang laughed. The Eternal God clan invaded the Milky Way and destroyed mankind. In fact, to target you. Because they are afraid of you, they will cut off the source of your strength and snatch the source of faith in your hands. If you are a cosmic god, even if you don't rely on the source of faith, you are already a great existence that they cannot touch. Not to mention targeting, it's too late to curry favor with you. What the teacher taught me is that the cosmic god is still extremely far away from me now, and I just said it casually. Xia Xingchen showed joy on his face, but your words reminded me. I thought of a way to break the deadlock. The way to break the deadlock? Tell me quickly. Carlos asked with curiosity. Well, tell me about it. Bahuang also nodded slightly. Teacher just mentioned that the Eternal Protoss wanted to snatch the source of faith from me, so they cut off the firewood, invaded the Milky Way, and destroyed humans. If there was no cause like me, there would naturally be no result of invading the Milky Way. Xia Xingchen said. That's true. But what are you going to do, Xingchen? Are you going to offer the source of faith to the Eternal Protoss? That's absolutely not allowed. The Eternal Protoss are despicable and shameless. Even if you offer the source of faith, they will still invade the Milky Way and plot against the power of faith of humans. Carlos shook his head repeatedly. Offer? Xia Xingchen shook his head. How could I do such a stupid thing? If my status is so high that the Eternal Protoss can only look up to me, if they dare not touch me, then they naturally lose the reason to invade the Milky Way. But the Eternal Protoss is one of the top 10 Protoss in the universe, and even the Heavenly Human Committee does not take it seriously. What kind of status do you want to obtain so that they dare not touch you? Is there really such a noble status in the universe? Carlos asked. Yes. Fallen. As long as I can become a fallen, even if the Eternal Lord has 10 times the courage, he would not dare to invade the Milky Way. Xia Xingchen said in a deep voice. Fallen. Bahuang's eyes lit up, and he looked at Xia Xingchen with joy. Xingchen, you finally figured it out. I mentioned the fallen selection to you before, but you were a little reluctant at the time, so I didn't continue. This is a different time. I was too immature before, and I didn't realize how important identity and strength are to me. This universe is too cruel. Without strength, I can't even protect my relatives. Even my own race was destroyed by the enemy. I have experienced this miserable experience once, and I don't want to experience it again. Teacher, I want to become a fallen. I want to participate in the fallen selection. Xia Xingchen said in a deep voice. Becoming a fallen is indeed the best way to break the impasse. Bahuang nodded and sighed, but becoming a fallen is not an easy thing. You have to be mentally prepared. Those who participate in the selection of fallen are the most powerful warriors in the universe. In addition to the Academy of Space and Time, the Tower of Order, the Chaos Abyss, the Samsara Cemetery, the Dark Core, the Temple of Light and other cosmic holy places will send people to participate. Back then, even I failed in the selection. If I could become a fallen, how dare the eternal gods bully the ancient humans? Unfortunately, I can only choose to become an overseer in the end. Alas, the overseer sounds good, eternal and immortal, supervising everything in the universe. In fact, it cannot interfere with the universe. To this universe, I'm just a phantom. For my relatives, for mankind, and for myself. No matter how difficult the road ahead is, I will work hard to go on. Xia Xingchen said in a deep voice. Well, Xingchen, you should rest for a while and recuperate. After a while, I will organize the information about the selection of fallen for you. Bahuang nodded. Thank you, teacher. Xia Xingchen turned to look at Carlos and said with a smile, Carlos, I can't wait to go home. Do you want to go back with me? Go home? Do you mean back to the Milky Way? Carlos immediately stood up and said excitedly, of course I want to go back. I want to go back even in my dreams. After saying goodbye to Bahuang, Xia Xingchen let Carlos enter the Faith Mech, directly tearing the space and flying into the dark space crack. The next moment, the Faith Match arrived above a blue planet. Xia Star. We've reached Xia Star so quickly? I'm not dreaming. Carlos looked at the familiar planet below with a look of amazement. This is the strength of the universe. If you can't even cross this distance, how dare you call yourself a universe level? Xia Xingchen explained with a smile. Most universe level people have the ability to teleport across time and space. However, the energy consumed by teleportation across time and space is very terrifying, and it cannot be used in battle. Therefore, most universe level powerhouses will not teleport across time and space, unless they have to. Xia Xingchen possesses the source of faith. The power of faith, provided by humans, continuously gathers, and provides the Faith Mecha with nearly endless energy. Therefore, Xia Xingchen can be so unscrupulous, using this energy to consume amazing abilities, traveling through space, and instantly reaching the outside of Xia Star. Jaina, father, the closer he is to home, the more timid he is. Xia Xingchen stares at the beautiful Xia Star, his eyes blurred by tears. Chapter 1825, Happy Meeting, Painful Separation. Xia Star is more prosperous than before. Xia Xingchen and Carlos quietly landed on Xia Star, put away the mecha, changed into ordinary clothes, walked on the street, looked at the surging crowds and towering buildings around, and whispered. Looking at the familiar human city and familiar faces, Xia Xingchen was filled with emotion. Counting it up, I have been away from the human world for 20 to 30 years. In just 20 to 30 years, there have been so many changes. Jaina is indeed a good leader. Xia Xingchen couldn't help but sigh. According to other people's time, Xia Xingchen has only been away from his hometown for more than 20 years. But in Xia Xingchen's own concept of time, he has not been home for hundreds of thousands of years. Hundreds of thousands of years of waiting and anticipation have made Xia Xingchen's longing for his hometown and relatives as sweet as aged liquor. Along the way, Xia Xingchen walked through the familiar streets and familiar shops, and slowly walked to the outside of the Imperial Palace. The Imperial Palace has not been repaired, and is still the same as before. On the walls, you can even see traces of gunpowder smoke left over from the war, which makes Xia Xingchen feel even more intimate. Standing on the huge Imperial Square, looking at the palace in front of him, Xia Xingchen hesitated. Xingchen, let's go. Let's go see Princess Crossing. Carlos was delighted. He could return to the Milky Way and take another look at the human world, fulfilling a long cherished wish in his heart. Just go in like this? Xia Xingchen stood there, with a look of desire on his face, but he did not move forward. What else? Xingchen, when did you become so nagging? Carlos urged, let's go, let's go. Meeting is joyful, and parting is painful. I think you are so happy, that you don't know what to do. Carlos, come with me, and go in stealthily. I'm going back to Xia Star, and don't want others to know. Xia Xingchen whispered. That's right, the eternal gods must have set up spies in the human world. It's better not to let them find out for the time being. Carlos nodded repeatedly, turned on the cloaking device, and his body suddenly disappeared. With the current strength of Xia Xingchen and Carlos, it is too easy to deceive the human sensory organs. Xia Xingchen nodded, and also covered his whole body with mental power, turning into an invisible state, and slowly walked into the Imperial Palace. At this moment, it was late at night. The Imperial Palace was brightly lit. In the study, Jaina was still busy dealing with government affairs. She was well maintained. Although she was already 40 years old, her skin was still smooth and rosy. At first glance, she was only in her 20s, but the fine crow's feet at the corners of her eyes betrayed her age. Jaina was no longer young, and had already entered middle age. Your Majesty, it's late at night. Go to bed early. Your health is important. A maid came over and draped a wool blanket on Jaina. I'm not tired yet. Jaina smiled and nodded. You can go back and rest. You don't have to serve me. I don't know how long I have to be busy. Your Majesty. The maid knew Jaina's character well, and said no more, bowed and left. Xingchen, I wish it was you who helped me put on the blanket. Where are you now? Is everything okay? Jaina pinched the thin blanket on her body, muttering, her eyes full of longing for Xia Xingchen. Outside the window, Xia Xingchen saw this scene, and heard Jaina's voice, her eyes filled with tears. For a long time, Xingchen covered herself with a blanket and continued to work hard, dealing with the tedious government affairs of the Galactic Empire. Xia Xingchen sighed and turned to leave the Imperial Palace. Xingchen, what are you doing? Why don't you go to see Princess Crossing? Carlos caught up, very puzzled by Xia Xingchen's behavior. I don't have the face to see her now. Xia Xingchen whispered, in the near future, she will be killed by the eternal gods because of my incompetence. I came back this time just to see her. I really miss her too much. Just seeing her once will satisfy me. Let's go, Carlos, we should leave. I don't understand. I really don't understand. Carlos shook his head, his face full of confusion. Carlos, before I have the ability to change the future, I will not be trapped by children's love again. Xia Xingchen flew over the Imperial Palace, stood in midair, looking at the bright lights in the study until the lights disappeared at dawn. Jaina, wait for me. When I come back next time, I will definitely hold you in my arms and love you well. Xia Xingchen turned and flew away from Shinyuan Star and flew towards Lingji Star. On Lingji Star, Xia Xingchen saw his father. His father was old, his hair was grey, his back was hunched, and his body was a little hunched. Xia Xingchen's nose was sour and tears could not stop falling. Hey, two old guys, let's play another game. Xia Yu was in high spirits, and he walked into Zhuo Lehung's yard shouting, you lousy chess player. Zhuo Lehung held a cup of tea and said with a smile, I don't want to fight with you, a defeated general. Old Hao, go and kill him without leaving a single piece of armor. You don't want to fight, but I do. Hao Xian shouted, but in the end he couldn't help itching to play, and he set up the chessboard and fought with Xia Yu. In the courtyard, laughter and joy rang out from time to time. Xia Xingchen saw that his father was living happily, and a smile appeared on his face. Similarly, Xia Xingchen did not meet his father directly and flew towards the direction of the research institute. Carissa, Miyamoto Kenichi, Keelan, and Father Free were of course Xia Xingchen's confidants. Even Rusfan, who lived in seclusion on a remote planet in the north, was specially met by Xia Xingchen. After meeting all the friends, Xia Xingchen's confidence became stronger. Friends, relatives. For your future, I will work hard. This time, I will never let you be killed by the eternal gods. Xingchen, I thought I understood you very well. But now I find that humans are really complicated animals. Carlos shook his head, helpless, but as long as you are happy. Xia Xingchen smiled slightly, without too much explanation. He did not stay in the Milky Way for too long, and once again teleported through time and space, to return to the Space-Time Academy. Xingchen, you are back so soon. Bahuang was a little surprised, with a look of approval in his eyes. I thought you would stay in the Milky Way for a long time this time. This is good. It shows that you have matured. Every second of your time is precious now, and you can't waste it anymore. Teacher, I'm ready. Xia Xingchen nodded. Okay, this is all the content I have collected about the selection of the fallen. You can take a look first. Bahuang transferred a file to Xia Xingchen's personal terminal. The trial is very difficult. You must be mentally prepared. After reading it, I will arrange special training for you to improve your combat effectiveness as quickly as possible. Bahuang said. Thank you, teacher. Xia Xingchen opened the file and read it carefully. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.